Chapter 535. It's not convenient for me during these few days. 3. Damn bird. Am crying from joy. None of your business. White Dawn wiped the tears off its face with its little paw and roared at Feng Zhan furiously. Am doing this for your own good. Don't be ungrateful. Feng Zhan said aggrievedly. Who wants to appreciate your kindness? White Dawn said nonchalantly. All right, stop arguing. Bai Su, you're the birthday boy today. Blow the candles quickly, Long Ruoxue urged as she lit the candles on the cake. Oh. White Dawn answered obediently and then gently blew out the candle. Haha, White Dawn, happy birthday. This is a gift from the freak and me. Long Ruoxue said with a smile and handed him a beautifully wrapped gift. Thank you. White Dawn hugged the gift Long Ruoxue gave it with its little paw, very happy. Hee, if it remembered correctly, this should be the first time it had received a gift in its life. Happy birthday. Everyone and the beasts mimicked Long Ruoxue and presented their gifts. In the blink of an eye, White Dawn's face was full of gifts. Thank you. White Dawn sobbed again, and its green eyes welled up with tears. Kitten, this is my gift to you. You will definitely like it. Feng Zhan also took out the gift he had prepared and deliberately placed it in White Dawn's arms. Thank you, damn bird. White Dawn said irritably. You're welcome. You'll give it to me on my birthday too. Master said it's called exchanging gifts. Feng Zhan said proudly. The gifts are all here. Everyone, you can cut the cake now. Long Ruoxue hurriedly urged lest these two started fighting again. Miss, I'll do it. Feng De volunteered. Then he picked up the knife on the table, cut the cake into several small pieces, and distributed them to all humans and beasts. Everyone and the beasts ate the sweet cake, tasted the delicious food, and chatted happily. Time passed by slowly. It was almost dawn outside the bracelet after they celebrated Bai Zu's birthday. Long Ruoxue urged everyone and the beasts to quickly rest when she saw that it was getting late. She then pulled the freak back to the purple bamboo hut. Long Ruoxue and the others almost didn't sleep for the entire night. There were also people who didn't sleep for the entire night in the Alchemist Association of Carefree City. In the main hall of the Alchemist Association, Sun Wei sat on the president's main seat with a gloomy, handsome face. Several elders of the headquarters were sitting below him. The other elders and the former president had been locked up by him, so there were not many people who could work for him in the headquarters now. How is it? Did you find him? Sun Wei suppressed his anger and asked his subordinate, standing in the middle of the hall. Young master, the Sun family's yard has been cleaned up, but we didn't find any trace of Jingyan, a man in his 30s reported. Didn't find anything? Continue searching. Sun Wei ordered furiously. The big explosion in the Sun family's side yard today must have been done by Jingyan's accomplices. Even though the figure of the male corpse found in the cell was similar to Jingyan's, he didn't believe that the person was Zheng Yin because that person had long been smashed beyond recognition by the exploding cell. There was no way to identify him at all. He had chased Zheng Yin for more than a decade, and Zheng Yin was still alive and well, so he didn't believe that Zheng Yin would die so easily. Moreover, Du Min, who was locked up in the Alchemist Association, was also gone, so he had even less reason to believe that Zheng Yin would die. Young master, the Sun family's side yard and the Alchemist Association have searched and didn't find any traces of anyone escaping. However, I think it's very possible that they have already left Carefree City. The man analyzed. Impossible. Their movements won't be so fast. They must still be in Carefree City. Search the entire city from tomorrow onwards. Sun Wei denied his subordinate's deduction and ordered. Search the entire city? The man was stunned and said in surprise. What? Is there a problem? Sun Wei glared and questioned with slight displeasure. Young master, it's probably inappropriate to search the entire city. This is Carefree City after all. Those mystics won't agree if we search the entire city, the man reminded. This was not Sunzhou City. The Mystic Association would definitely intervene if the Sun family was too arrogant in Carefree City. You don't have to worry about the Mystic Association headquarters. We'll just search you. Sun Wei said impatiently. He could ask his aunt to settle the Mystic Association headquarters, so he didn't care about the reactions of the mystics at all. Yes, The man answered and left. President, His Excellency Du Min has also disappeared. Will he come back to cause trouble for us? An elder asked worriedly after the man left. Everyone has escaped. What's the use of worrying now? I told you long ago to send more people to watch him, but you didn't take it seriously, Sunway said coldly. He was very angry with these elders, but he still had to rely on their support now, so he could only bear with it. President, you can't blame us. No one realized how he was rescued at all. The guards at the door didn't see anyone enter that room, except for Miss Lan Ninger, another elder said. Do you want to say that Ninger released Du Min? Sunway questioned. President, that's not what Elder Wang meant. However, Miss Lan Ninger does have the intention to release His Excellency Du Min. Everyone knows that. Do you think His Excellency Du Min agreed to take Miss Lan Ninger as his disciple, and Miss Lan was afraid that we wouldn't agree to let him go, so she secretly let him go? An elder in black said. Impossible. Ninger will tell me if he wants to let her go, Sunway said with certainty because he had told Ninger that he could let Du Min go for her sake as long as Du Min was willing to take her in as a disciple. However, as far as he knew, Ninger had never been able to convince Du Min to take her in as a disciple. Therefore, Ninger would definitely not let that old man go. President, women's hearts are like needles at the bottom of the sea. Is Miss Lan really on your side? An elder asked doubtfully. He heard that Lan Ninger was no longer so favored in the Lan family, so he didn't think that Lan Ninger would have any feelings for the president at all. How many young ladies nurtured by families had true feelings? Most of them were just pawns. Moreover, everyone knew that Lan Ninger liked the young master of the Long family. It was not that he belittled their president, but no matter how outstanding the president was, he could not be compared with the young master of the Long family. Chapter 536. Blowing up the two great associations. 1. What do you mean? Sun Waiting stood up from his seat and glared at the elder who spoke just now. His fierce gaze seemed to want to poke a hole in him. I don't mean anything. I just hope that you don't trust women so much, President, especially a woman who doesn't care so much about you, the elder said bluntly. Everyone could see that Lan Ninger was just using the president, but the president was dazzled by beauty. This isn't your business. You don't have to worry. Sun Wei suppressed the anger in his heart and roared. I'm doing this for the president's own good. Forget it if you don't want to listen. The elder closed his eyes and stopped talking after speaking. It's getting late. Elders, go and rest. Sun Wei took a deep breath and said, President, rest early too. The elders sitting said politely and then stood up to leave the hall. Sun Wei sat alone in his seat for a while after everyone left. Then he got up and left. Sun Wei strode back to his residence. There was a huge explosion in the Sun family's yard, so he temporarily stayed in the Alchemist Association. This used to be his master's residence. Before he approached the room, he heard sobbing coming from inside. He pushed the door open and walked in directly to see Lan Ninger, lying on the bed crying very sadly. Ninger. Sun Wei came to the bed and embraced the crying Lan Ninger. Did you find him? Lan Ninger wiped the tears off her face and asked in a choked voice. No, I've already ordered the entire city to search tomorrow. They will definitely be found, Sun Wei promised. Yes, we have to find the person who saved Zheng. I want to chop him into pieces, grind his bones and scatter his ashes. Lan Ninger said with hatred. She wouldn't have been so embarrassed if it wasn't for the person who saved Zheng. She had lost all her face now. How could she marry Big Brother Long in the future? If Big Brother Long knew about her and Sun Wei, he probably wouldn't want her anymore. Boo-hoo. Therefore, she hated Zheng Yin's accomplices to the core. I will. Ninger, do you think Long Ruoxue and the others are the ones who saved Sun Wei? Sun Wei guessed. He felt that Long Ruoxue and the others were the most suspicious. He really couldn't think of anyone else who would dare to go against him other than them. Possibly, Lan Ninger said through gritted teeth. She also hated Long Ruoxue and the others to the core, especially that damn little red bird. Her status in the Lan family wouldn't have plummeted if it weren't for that damn bird. How could she be miserable to the point of hanging out with Sun Wei? Long Ruoxue, how dare she go against my Sun family? She's really tired of living, Sun Wei said hatefully. Long Ruox's beasts had beaten him up badly in Blue Cloud City. If he hadn't escaped after recovering, he would probably have died in the hands of those people now. The Sun family? The Lan family doesn't care either, so you don't have to be too angry. Lan Ninger leaned into Sun Wei's arms and comforted him. Seems like Long Ruoxue is the common enemy of our two families, Sun Wei said with a somewhat smug smile. He didn't believe Long Ruoxue could still have a foothold in the boundless heaven continent after offending the Sun and Lan families. Those old farts from the Lan family don't treat Long Ruoxue as an enemy at all, so don't expect them to deal with Long Ruoxue with you. Lan Ninger immediately doused Sun Wei with cold water and reminded, So what? Do we need two super families to deal with an elementary mystic? The Alchemist Association headquarters would be enough to settle her, Sun Wei said confidently. In fact, he didn't take Long Ruoxue and the others seriously at all. He just didn't know their whereabouts all along, so he had no way to deal with them even if he wanted to. Long Ruox's strength is nothing. However, I heard that her beasts are very powerful. Lan Ninger frowned slightly. Even the mighty second elder of the Lan family was afraid of Long Ruox's beasts. He was so scared that he trembled whenever he heard the words Long Ruoxue. So what if the beasts are powerful? We have so many mystic sovereigns as our fighters. Can't we deal with a few beasts? Moreover, President Wu hates that ugly monster to the core. It won't be a problem to deal with Long Ruoxue at all with his help, Sun Wei said with certainty. Really? Lan Ninger said doubtfully. In fact, she didn't really believe Sun Wei because she didn't know the grudge between Wu Gong and Long Ruoxue. Of course, Sun Wei said and told Lan Ninger about the conflict between Wu Gong and Long Ruoxue. After hearing this, Lan Ninger immediately broke out into a smile and said happily, That's great. Long Ruoxue is dead meat this time. By the way, tell President Wu immediately to deal with her as long as we find her whereabouts so that we can reap the benefits. Hee, Ninger, you're so naughty. However, I like it. Sun Wei hugged Lan Ninger tightly and smiled wretchedly. Then he began to stroke Lan Ninger again. Aya, you're so annoying. Lan Ninger said with a coquettish smile and dodged Sun Wei's hairy hands and feet everywhere. Soon, the two of them rolled onto the bed again. The next day, in the carefree hall, Long Ruoxue and the others were still sleeping soundly in the bracelet when they were woken up by Qingju's urging. Qingju, what's the matter? Long Ruoxue still had her eyes closed and said with some displeasure. It was almost dawn before she slept. She was still not awake yet, but why did Qingju wake her up so early? She hated it when others disturbed her sleep the most. Big sister, someone outside wants to search the rooms of the inn, Qingju said softly. Alas, he knew his sister's habits very well. He wouldn't have woken her up if it weren't for the urgent matter. Oh, got it. Long Ruoxue opened her beautiful eyes very reluctantly and woke the freak up. The two of them washed up simply, called empty, and left the bracelet. Someone knocked on the door just as they returned to their room. Before Long Ruoxue and the others could open the door, the person outside the door was a little impatient. He kicked open the door and barged in. Chapter 537. Blowing up the two great associations, 2. Why are there 3 people in this room? The leader looked at the 3 people in front of him in amazement. Why can't there be 3 people? Long Ruoxue asked in displeasure. If she was not mistaken, these should be people sent by Sun Wei. How rude. Shopkeeper, why are there 3 people in this room? The leader turned to the shopkeeper beside him. What's there to fuss about? The rooms are reserved by guests. How can I bother about how many people want to stay in the same room? The shopkeeper said nonchalantly, not taking the leader seriously at all. Who are you? What right do you have to barge into our room? Shopkeeper, your Carefree Pavilion is the best inn in Carefree City. Such a thing actually happened. How disappointing. Long Ruoxue looked at the shopkeeper, her beautiful face full of anger. Missy, I'm really sorry. President Wu agreed to this, the shopkeeper said helplessly. What does President Wu think we mystics are? He actually sent people to do ward rounds? Long Ruoxue questioned. Missy, right? Something big happened in Carefree City yesterday, so I was tasked to search the city by the presidents of the Alchemist Association and Mystic Association, the leader explained. He didn't want to anger this beautiful young lady either. Alas, he really didn't expect that there would be a woman more beautiful than Miss Lan Ninger in this world. Oh, I wonder what happened. Lung Ruoxue pretended to be curious. Someone attacked President Sun's yard yesterday, so we're searching for those people, the leader said. Do you have any leads? Lung Ruoxue asked with a slight frown. Yes, but we haven't found the whereabouts of those people yet, so we searched everywhere. Please forgive us if we were rude, the leader said apologetically. Oh, it's okay. I can understand. Your president's son is really unlucky. Send his regards for me. Lung Ruoxue said sympathetically. Okay, Missy, we'll take our leave then, the leader said very politely and left the room with his subordinates. Missy, I'm so sorry for scaring you, the shopkeeper said apologetically after they left. It's okay. I know it's not your fault, Lung Ruoxue comforted. She had a good impression of the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper bowed to Lung Ruoxue and the others and left the room. What do you think? Lung Ruoxue asked the freak and Empty after the eyesore left. It's expected, Empty said calmly. It would be abnormal if Sunway didn't search the entire city like this. Then shouldn't we do something? Lung Ruoxue asked with a naughty smile. Alas, Sunway searched wantonly like this. How disappointed would he be if he couldn't find anything in the end? Schwer, what do you want to do? The freak asked curiously. Schwer had so many ideas. Isn't he looking for us all over the world? How can he find us in the inn? Why don't we go out for a walk? Lung Ruoxue suggested. No, if he sees you, he might have designs on you. The freak objected resolutely. Boo-hoo. Schwer originally said that she would leave after saving Jing'an and the little old man, but it seemed like she had to deal with Sunway now. What are you afraid of with Empty around? Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. In fact, she didn't intend to show herself in front of Sunway at all. Alas, the freak was thinking too much. All right then, the freak said very reluctantly after looking at Empty. Alas, he naturally had to cooperate well since Schwer had already thought of a plan. That's more like it. Lung Ruoxue praised as if she was petting a puppy. Schwer, where do you intend to go? Empty asked in realization. Do you think the little old man will be angry if I blow up the Alchemist Association? Lung Ruoxue said uncertainly. Alas, the little old man was now considered half of her own people, so she was a little hesitant. I don't know if the little old man will be angry, but I know that Sunway will definitely be mad, Empty said with certainty. Alas, the Sun family's yard had already been blown up. If the Alchemist Association headquarters continued to destroy it, then Sunway would probably be sleeping on the streets. I just want to anger him to death. Empty, how about I blow up the Mystic Association headquarters while I'm at it? Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows slightly and suggested. Although Empty had said it before, she believed that the relationship between Empty and the Mystic Association headquarters was definitely not shallow. Therefore, she naturally had to greet Empty since she had such thoughts. Empty was at a loss for words. This girl was addicted to the explosion. But what could he say? Schwer, what about Lan Ming's master if you blow up the Mystic Association headquarters? The freak frowned and said awkwardly. Right. It's better not to blow up the Mystic Association headquarters then. Empty took the opportunity to reason. But I still want to blow up those two headquarters. What should I do? Isn't there a saying that the new won't come if the old don't disappear? These two headquarters are very rich, so let them build a new one. As for little Lan Lan's master, he'll empty his seclusion place, Lung Ruoxue said her plan with a smile. Then her beautiful eyes looked at the two handsome men in front of her without blinking, hoping to obtain their support. Schwer, blow it up if you want to. As long as you're happy, the freak hurriedly said. Boo-hoo. Schwer's tender gaze made his heart beat non-stop. Empty. Lung Ruoxue turned her gaze to Empty after obtaining the freak's support and looked at him very attentively. Blow it up. Empty sighed helplessly. I knew you would definitely support me. Let's go quickly. Lung Ruoxue said impatiently. Then she summoned Ling and got her to cast an invisibility spell on them before the three of them left the inn. After the three of them left the Carefree Pavilion, they set the Mystic Association headquarters as their first destination. Chapter 538. Blowing Up the Two Great Associations 3. After reaching the Mystic Association headquarters, Long Ruoxue released her beasts and distributed some explosive balls to them. Then she gave them some instructions and got them to split up. Half an hour later, the beasts who completed the mission returned to Long Ruoxue's side excitedly. "Beloved master, we have completed the mission." Darling jumped into Long Ruoxue's arms and acted coquettishly. "Good, well done. Let's go." Long Ruoxue praised and then turned to the Freak and Wayless. "Okay." The two of them nodded, and then the three of them left the Mystic Association headquarters. After leaving the Mystic Association headquarters, Long Ruoxue and the others arrived at the Alchemist Association headquarters with familiarity. After telling their beasts to split up, Long Ruoxue and the others came to the door of the cell. After burying an explosive ball at the door, the three of them quietly left. After waiting for a while at the entrance of the Alchemist Association, Long Ruoxue's beasts ran out and snuggled up to her, reporting their work to her non-stop. "Master, it's done," Dazzle said. "Master, it's all buried," Ling said. "Hee, master, the mission is completed." Fengzhan smiled evilly. Apart from completing the mission, he also gave Sunwei a small gift. "Yes, well done. We can go back and wait for news." Long Ruoxue stored the beasts in the bracelet after speaking, and the three of them slipped back to the Carefree Hall. After returning to the Carefree Pavilion, Long Ruoxue and the others went directly to the living room. Lan Ming and the others were already sitting there waiting for them. "Little Snowy, you're already a mystic monarch?" Lan Ming stood up from his seat in surprise when he saw Long Ruoxue. "How long has it been?" These two perverts were actually mystic monarchs. Boo-hoo. This was a huge blow to him. "Yes, calm down. The Freak and I took the Silver Snow pill," Long Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Alas, she didn't want to take the pill to advance if the enemy wasn't this strong. "Silver Snow pill? Where did you get the Silver Snow pill?" Lan Ming was even more surprised. Silver Snow pill was a pill that was priceless. The success rate of refining it was very low, so it had always been difficult to obtain with money. "I refined it myself." Long Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Lan Ming and said calmly, as if what she said was a very ordinary thing. You can even refine the Silver Snow pill. Amazing." Lan Ming really didn't know what to say. Alas. In fact, he should have adapted long ago, right? It hadn't been a day or two since Long Ruoxue, and the group of perverts knocked his common sense out. "It's okay," Long Ruoxue said modestly. "Miss, are you in alchemy supremacy?" Changwu couldn't help but interrupt as he listened to their conversation. He knew that Long Ruoxue was an alchemist, but he had never thought that she could actually concoct a heaven-grade pill. "I don't know either. I've never done a level test. To put it bluntly, I'm an unlicensed mystic who knows alchemy," Long Ruoxue said with a light smile. What do you mean by an unconfirmed mystic who knows alchemy?" Changwu asked in puzzlement with 2 drops of cold sweat dripping down his forehead. "You don't understand? I'm an unregistered alchemist. I might know how to concoct pills, but it's not legal, so it's best not to ask me for pills. Otherwise, I won't be held responsible if they die from eating them," Long Ruoxue said very irresponsibly. Everyone was a little confused after hearing Long Ruoxue's words. They thought, "Miss, we've eaten a lot of your pills, and you're only telling us now?" However, the effects of Miss pills were really extraordinary. After they ate them, their old illnesses that had not healed for many years actually healed, so they would be all right even if they died from eating them. "Haha, don't be scared. You didn't take poison. You won't die." Long Ruoxue looked at their expressions and laughed happily. "Miss, we're not afraid," Chengwu said speechlessly. Alas, they had not been with Long Ruoxue for long, but they more or less knew some of Miss' bad taste. "That's good. By the way, why are you all gathered here?" Long Ruoxue asked with a light smile. "Miss, Sunwei has already sent people to look for us everywhere in the city. We mainly want to ask if Miss has any plans, Chengwu said bluntly. He's not looking for us. You have to calm down. As for the plan, not yet. Long Ruoxue comforted. Lass, don't you have a plan yet? The little old man happened to hear Long Ruoxue's words after coming to the living room and couldn't help asking. Alas, he felt uneasy if he didn't teach Sun Wei a lesson early. Grandpa Du, let's talk after Jingyan recuperates. There's no hurry. Long Ruoxue comforted him. Hee. She hoped that Grandpa Du wouldn't blame her after knowing what she had just done. Okay, that's good too. Schwer, you've advanced to Mystic Monarch? The little old man said after some thought. He saw Long Ruoxue's strength and was shocked. It had only been a night. How did Schwer become a Mystic Monarch? He remembered that Schwer was only an elementary mystic when they split up previously. She was also a great mystic yesterday. He hadn't seen her for only a night, but this girl had already become a Mystic Monarch. Would Schwer become a Mystic Supremacy if he woke up after a night's sleep? It was not impossible with this girl's abnormal cultivation speed. Yes, I took the Silver Snow pill last night, Long Ruoxue said honestly. In fact, she didn't want others to think of her as too abnormal. Oh, I see. The little old man wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and thought, fortunately, it shouldn't be possible for someone to be so abnormal. Schwer, where did you get the Silver Snow pill? That thing isn't easy to obtain, the little old man said in surprise. He was originally thinking that he would ask his old friend for a few silver snow fish to refine some silver snow pills for Schwer after this matter was over. He didn't expect this girl to obtain it herself. I refined it myself. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Long Ruoxue's forehead. Alas, why did Grandpa Du ask this as well? Schwer, you can refine the silver snow pill? The little old man asked in disbelief. He knew that Schwer was an alchemist, but he didn't expect this girl to be at the level of an alchemy supremacy. Boo-hoo. He was an alchemy supremacy at such an old age, but Schwer was already an alchemy supremacy. She's still young. This was too shocking. Chapter 539. Blowing up the 2 great associations. 4. Your Excellency Du Min, don't take it to heart. Lan Ming looked at the little old man's expression and said with some pity. In fact, he slowly got used to it after being attacked for a long time. Yes, I want. The little old man patted Lan Ming's shoulder and said empathetically. Alas, he could understand Lan Ming now. Schwer and the others were indeed abnormal. Grandpa Du, Long Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas, did they have to do this? Their expressions seemed to suggest that they were deeply affected, but she really didn't think she was anything extraordinary. Lass, I'm fine. Alas, I'll get used to it slowly, the little old man hurriedly said. Grandpa Du, how is Jingyan? Long Ruoxue changed the topic. Almost healed. Lass, Sun Wei sent people to search just now. Fortunately, Zheng Yin and I were invisible, so we weren't discovered by them. By the way, do you have any good plans to get rid of that ingrate? The little old man asked angrily. Grandpa Du, don't worry. Tell me when Zheng Yin is completely healed. I promised Jing Yin to let him take revenge personally, Long Ruoxue comforted. Yes, I know. I'm just asking, the little old man said shyly. He was a little anxious. Grandpa Du, will you be angry if the Alchemist Association disappears? Long Ruoxue probed. Why did the Alchemist Association disappear? The little old man's face was full of question marks. Could it be that Schwer did something again? Just as the little old man was puzzled, a loud bang answered him. He was stunned, but he quickly reacted. Could Schwer have even blown up the Alchemist Association? Immediately after, there were several loud bangs. The little old man was confused. Did this girl want to blow up Carefree City? Lan Ming and the others quickly left the living room and ran out to watch the commotion after hearing the commotion. They returned a long time later, each with a very calm expression on his face. Then, neither of them said anything and sat directly in the chair. What's the situation outside? The little old man couldn't help asking when he saw that no one was speaking. It's still all right. Chengwu wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said calmly. He couldn't make a fuss lest he was laughed at by Miss and the others. Where did the explosion come from? The little old man didn't believe him and continued asking stubbornly. The Mystic Association headquarters and the Alchemist Association headquarters. Lan Ming answered the little old man's question very kindly. Ha! Luckily, the place where his master was in seclusion was safe and sound. Ha ha! So what if the Mystic Association headquarters exploded? He didn't care. Did it all explode? The little old man asked with a black face. Alas, the girl was really ruthless. Yes, except for the cells, the Alchemist Association headquarters is in ruins. As for the Mystic Association headquarters, only the place where my master was in seclusion was intact. The other places have also become a junkyard, Lan Ming explained. He actually wanted to laugh when he thought of the situation he saw. I'm afraid the president of the Alchemist Association and the Mystic Association will be sleeping on the streets this time, Long Ruoxue said with a light smile, her beautiful face full of gloating. They won't sleep outdoors. They can stay in the inn. Empty said lightly. What if their luck is bad and wherever they stay explodes? Long Ruoxue said with a naughty smile. Then they're really unlucky, Chung Wu said sympathetically. He didn't have to guess now to know that this matter definitely had something to do with Mississippi. Miss was really fast. Boo-hoo. She actually lied to them that she didn't have a plan. So she want to play by herself. Yes, they will definitely be plagued by bad luck recently, Long Ruoxue said with certainty. Hee, she would definitely not let those people have an easy time since they dared to hurt her. Unlucky. She would definitely find them and definitely in a way they didn't expect. Miss, do you need us to do anything? Chung Wu said expectantly, his handsome face red as he said, arrange something for me to do. Yes, there are indeed some things that you need to do, Long Ruoxue said with a naughty smile, her beautiful eyes circling Ching Wu and the others. Miss, can you not look at us like that? We're scared. Chung Wu couldn't help but say when Long Ruoxue looked at him. You're too timid. How can you do this? You have to train well. Long Ruoxue looked at Ching Wu and the others for a while, and then said earnestly, Yes, Mississippi. What training do you want to arrange for us? Chung Wu asked bravely. Boo-hoo. Why did Miss Gaze make him so uneasy? He wouldn't be sold off by Miss, right? Come closer, Long Ruoxue said after some thought.
Yes.
Chung Wu obediently handed over his ear, his little heart racing anxiously. Long Ruoxue whispered in Chung Wu's ear. Immediately, everyone saw the expression on Chung Wu's face was very strange, as if he was suppressing something. It alternated between green and white. Let's go. Chung Wu turned to the mystic sovereigns present after hearing Long Ruoxue's arrangement. Yes, the mystic sovereigns hurriedly replied and then left the living room with Chung Wu. Little Snowy, where did you get them to go? Lan Ming asked curiously. I asked them to return to their rooms to look for Ling. Long Ruoxue said very honestly. She had asked Ling to protect Jing Yin after returning to the Carefree Pavilion just now. Chung Wu and the others' mission required invisibility, so they naturally had to look for Ling to help. Therefore, she didn't lie. Is that it? Lan Ming looked at Long Ruoxue doubtfully. Boo-hoo. Little Snowy was so naughty. She didn't even tell him anything fun.
Yes.
Long Ruoxue nodded. At least for now. All right, I'm sleepy. I'm going back to my room to sleep. Do whatever you want. Long Ruoxue wanted to sleep again after settling everything. After speaking, she pulled the freak back to her room uninvited. I want to enter the space, Empty interrupted before the freak could say anything. Chapter 540. The Unlucky Wu Gong 1. Okay. Long Ruoxue nodded with a smile. Of course she knew. However, Empty always entered their room like this. It would definitely cause a misunderstanding over time. It's broad daylight. Why are you entering the space? Play outside yourself. The freak glared with slight dissatisfaction. You are all going to sleep. What's the point of me being alone outside? Empty said aggrievedly. Tears welled up in his beautiful eyes as if he was about to cry. Freak, stop teasing him. Let's go in and sleep too. Lung Ruoxue kindly helped him out. All right then. The freak was a little unwilling, but he would let Schwer go since she pleaded for the big light bulb. After the freak finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue brought the two of them into the bracelet with a thought. Empty. Play by yourself. We're going to bed. Lung Ruoxue pulled the freak into the purple bamboo hut. Empty sat down in a chair not far from the purple bamboo hut and took out a cup of tea from his ring to drink alone. Alas, Master is so pitiful. Suddenly, Icy's sympathetic voice sounded from the corner. Stinky Icy, how am I pitiful? Empty frowned and said speechlessly. How did Icy view that he was pitiful? Alone, with no one to accompany you. Icy raised its little head. Boo-hoo. It was the same. Don't I have you? Empty said nonchalantly. How can it be the same? We are both male. Icy said gloomily. Alas, Little Snowy's beasts were also male, but Little Snowy was female. Alas, it would have found a female owner back then. The embrace of the female owner was fragrant. Icy, are you despising me? He picked Icy up from a corner and raised it in front of him to look at him. Of course not. Why would I despise Master? Icy quickly denied. In fact, it was just a little envious of Little Snowy's beasts. It definitely didn't despise its master. Icy, it's too late even if you despise Master. We two males are destined to be tied together in this life. Empty gloated. I know. Boo-hoo. Icy wanted to cry but had no tears. What a waste. Haha. Empty laughed happily seeing Icy's depressed appearance. Alas. Icy sighed heavily and lay in its master's arms to sleep. Lung Ruoxue and the others went to rest peacefully. However, everyone in Carefree City was panicking. The people from the Alchemist Association and the Mystic Association were even more nervous like birds startled by the bow, because they were very afraid that the sudden explosion would descend on them. After the big explosion at the Mystic Association headquarters, Wugong had no choice but to temporarily stay in an ordinary mansion in the outskirts of the city. This yard was also the property of the Mystic Association headquarters. However, because no one had lived here for many years, it had been neglected for many years and could no longer be lived in. He sent someone to clean it up simply and then moved in. Alas! Living here was better than staying in an inn to let others point fingers at him. At the same time, Cheng Wu and the others, who had accepted the mission, divided into two groups according to Long Ruoxue's instructions. They prepared to monitor Sunwei and Wugong's every move day and night, and occasionally play dirty. In Wugong's temporary residence, Big Brother Cheng, Wugong went to the toilet. A mystic sovereign, who was monitoring Wugong, whispered to Cheng Wu, Okay, prepare to move. Cheng Wu, who was hiding in an empty room, stood up from his chair. Hee, Big Brother Cheng. We have to let that old man taste the feces pit this time, a short mystic sovereign said excitedly. Yes, we are invisible now anyway. No one can see us. We can play however we want, hee. Cheng Wu said with a naughty smile. This mission was really too enjoyable. He could finally prank people as he wished. Big Brother Cheng, what are we waiting for? Let's go quickly. A tall and thin mystic sovereign in black said anxiously. He had never done such a thing in his life. He was really a little excited. Don't be anxious. Prepare the tools first, Cheng Wu reminded. Then he took out a white jade bottle from his ring and held it in his hand. Okay. After seeing Cheng Wu's action, the others also took out tools that they had long prepared from their rings. Some took out a stick that was twice the size of an adult's arm, while others took out ropes. Let's go, Cheng Wu ordered when he saw that everyone was ready. Let's go. Cheng Wu led the mystic sovereigns to the toilet and swaggered in. In the toilet, Wugong was squatting on the toilet with his pants half off. Cheng Wu and the others couldn't help covering their mouths and noses after entering because the smell in the toilet was really too unbearable. They wouldn't be willing to come to such a place if it wasn't for the mission. Big Brother Cheng, do we attack? A mystic sovereign asked softly. Okay. Cheng Wu nodded. Then he poured some powder from the jade bottle and blew it at Wugong. Wugong collapsed in just a few seconds, and the spot where he fell happened to be in the toilet. Wow, Miss Medicine is so effective. the tall and thin black-clothed mystic sovereign exclaimed. Of course, but this Wugong really knows how to find a place to lie down, Chengwu said with a naughty smile. Hee, the smell of the toilet might be a little bad, but seeing the vice president of the Mystic Association lying in the toilet pit, such a scene was probably rare to come by in 1,000 years. I'm the vice president of the Mystic Association headquarters, so my sleeping place is naturally different, the short mystic sovereign said matter-of-factly. Alas. Fortunately, Wugong was unconscious. Otherwise, he would be angered to death if he heard this. Makes sense. Should we let him lie down for a while more? Or should we fish him out now to bask in the sun? Chengwu asked for everyone's opinion. Chapter 541. The unlucky Wugong, too. Let him lie down for a while more. He has so much to do every day. It's very tiring, the tall and thin black-clothed mystic sovereign said very kindly. All right, then let him lie down for 10 minutes, Chengwu said after some thought. Yes. The mystic sovereigns nodded. 10 minutes later, the mystic sovereign holding the rope made a circle and wrapped it around Wugong's neck. He was about to pull him out of the toilet when he was stopped. Wait, the tall and thin black-robed mystic sovereign stopped him. Hey Z, what's the matter? The mystic sovereign asked in surprise. Don't let me take my tools for nothing. The mystic sovereign, who was called Haizi, said with a naughty smile. He looked at the stick in his hand and smashed it fiercely on Wugong's head without hesitation. Immediately, blood flowed down Wugong's head. All right, drag it up, Blackie said after the fight. Aren't you going to smash it a few more times? The mystic sovereign suggested. Hee. In fact, they didn't have any deep enmity with Wugong, but the young miss did. The young miss enmity was their enmity. Therefore, they didn't have to mention how happy they were seeing Wugong suffer. I want to, but am afraid it'll crush him to death. We won't have any fun then, Blackie said regretfully. Then don't fight first. Let's take it slow. There's still a long way to go. We won't have any fun if we kill him, the mystic sovereign said. With that, he pulled Wugong out of the toilet like he was carrying a dead chicken. Big Brother Chung, where should we put this fellow to dry? The mystic sovereign asked with a face full of disdain. Why was Wugong so stinky? It was so stinky. Hang it at the city gate. There are many people there, and the air is good. This city will stink to death if it's in Carefree City. Chengwu covered his nose. Big Brother Chung, how can we get him out in the middle of the day? Hazy couldn't help asking. It probably wouldn't be easy to hang the vice president of the Mystic Association on the city wall in broad daylight. The difficulty was really extraordinary. Look who this is. Chengwu took out a small golden snake with a white jade horn on its head. The snake opened its sleepy eyes and looked at the stinky Wugong with slight disdain. Then it cast an invisibility spell and hid Wugong. After doing all this, the little snake crawled back into Cheng Wu's arms and continued sleeping. Isn't this Miss Beast Rise? Big Brother Chung, why are you here? Hazy asked in surprise. Of course Miss lent it to me. Let's go quickly, Cheng Wu urged. Then he left the stinky toilet first. After leaving the toilet, Cheng Wu and the others sat on their beasts, hung Wugong on a rope, and were carried to the city gate by the beasts. After reaching the city gate, Cheng Wu took out Ling from his arms. Ling opened his eyes, lazily undid Wugong's invisibility spell, and crawled back to catch up on sleep. Hazy and the others hung Wugong on the highest point of the city gate, stripped him of his clothes, and left. They didn't forget to spread the news on the way back. The vice president of the Mystic Association, Wugong, accidentally fell into the toilet, so he committed suicide at the city gate. After the pedestrians on the street heard this news, it spread from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100. Soon, all the mystics and alchemists in the city heard it. They didn't know where this news came from, but everyone simultaneously ran to the city gate to investigate on the basis of everyone's gossip. After reaching the city gate, everyone found that there was indeed a naked middle-aged man hanging on the city wall. Wasn't he the vice president of the Mystic Association headquarters? Move aside. At this moment, people from the Mystic Association headquarters arrived. The elder leading the group frowned when he saw Wu Gong. Put President Wu down quickly, the president hurriedly ordered his subordinates. Alas, who did this? The Mystic Association headquarters had really lost all their face this time. There were rumors that President Wu committed suicide, but as one of President Wu's trusted subordinates, he absolutely wouldn't believe this nonsense. Elder Hao, President Wu committed suicide because he wanted to die, a subordinate reminded. What he implied was that if they meddled and saved President Wu might blame them when he woke up. Why don't they let President Wu go like this? Nonsense. Why would President Wu want to commit suicide? Elder Hao roared furiously. It was understandable that those mystics who didn't know the truth said so, but he didn't expect his subordinates to think so too. President Wu would be angered to death if he knew. Didn't President Wu commit suicide because he fell into the toilet? The subordinate said foolishly. He also felt that President Wu was a little too exaggerated, but with President Wu's identity and status, it was reasonable for him to not accept the fact that he wanted to commit suicide because he fell into the toilet. After all, President Wu was not an ordinary person. Do you think that's possible? Elder Hao roared angrily. Alas, how could he have such a stupid subordinate? That's possible, the subordinate replied seriously after some thought. Possible my ass. Let me tell you, that's impossible. It's impossible for our President Wu to commit suicide. Elder Hao roared at the top of his lungs. Immediately, everyone's gazes were attracted to him. What are you looking at? What's there to see? Disperse. Whoever surrounds here will be expelled from the Mystic Association headquarters and Alchemist Association headquarters. Old Hao threatened as he looked at everyone's strange gazes. TCH, the Mystic Association headquarters is really becoming more and more depraved. They use expulsion to threaten mystics all the time. Truly a crooked stick. Someone said from the crowd. That's right. He's obviously a vice president, but those bootlickers just have to call him president. What a joke. Now, the only vice president who has fallen into the toilet one by one in the Mystic Association for thousands of years. Haha, someone said with a wild laugh. Who? Who said that? Come out if you dare. Elder Hao roared furiously. He searched several times, but didn't find anyone present with their mouths agape. He was really angry. Chapter 542. The Unlucky Wu Gong 3. Why would I come out, just because you asked me to? Who do you think you are? Chung Wu, who was invisible and mixed in the crowd, said disdainfully. Those words were said by the few of them just now, but this flattering elder couldn't find their seats at all. Hee, this feeling was really too satisfying. He's Malgui Wu's lackey. Hazy said viciously. Oh, then he will definitely fall into the toilet. Haha, he has to be Master's partner. Chung Wu predicted and laughed hysterically. Who is it? Come out here. Elder Hao's lungs were about to explode from anger as he roared while jumping up and down. Lackey elder, I won't scram. Why don't you scram for me to see? Chung Wu provoked. Hurry up and find these two troublemakers. Elder Hao was so angry that his entire body was trembling as he hurriedly ordered his subordinates. Yes, his subordinates answered helplessly. Then they went to the crowd to search and reported directly. Elder Hao, we didn't find the whereabouts of those two people. How is this possible? Could there be a ghost? Elder Hao roared without caring about his image. That's right. We are ghosts. You won't be able to find us. Chung Wu gave Blackie a look after speaking. The two of them immediately attacked at the same time tacitly, punching and kicking Elder Hao fiercely. Eha! Eha! Elder Hao's painful wail kept coming out of his mouth, making everyone's hearts tremble. There's really a ghost. Elder Hao's subordinates were so scared that their faces were pale, their legs were trembling, and their bodies were trembling as they said. That was because they only heard Elder Hao's painful howl and saw blood constantly seeping out of Elder Hao's body. However, they didn't see who attacked, nor did they feel any fluctuation of mystic energy. This was enough to show that the person who beat Elder Hao up was not a human. Could it be Elder Hao's enemy? They couldn't help guessing. Save me, save me. Elder Hao pleaded weakly. Elder how can we save you if we can't see those ghosts? The subordinate said very awkwardly. Alas, how could they be a match for the ghosts? Moreover, they didn't want to be entangled by those evil ghosts after saving Elder How. Haha, whoever dares to save him will suffer the same fate as him. Chung Wu threatened. Indeed, no one dared to move after he said that. A few minutes later, Elder How, who had been beaten beyond recognition, finally fainted from exhaustion. Chung Wu and Hazy clapped their hands as if they hadn't had enough. Their gazes collided, and they looked at each other with smiles. Then, the two of them tacitly said with slight dissatisfaction, "You really don't resist the beatings. Your bodies are too weak." Hee. Beating someone up with their fists was also quite enjoyable. No wonder Miss Beasts often used physical attacks in close combat instead of mystic techniques. This feeling seemed to have a greater sense of accomplishment than using mystic techniques. They also learned this move from Miss Beasts. They tested it today, and indeed didn't disappoint. Everyone present and Elder House subordinates couldn't help but be at a loss for words when they heard the slightly displeased voice coming from the void. They thought to themselves, "Aren't you just pretending after benefiting?" Alas, poor Elder How. This was really an unexpected calamity. Tell me, why did he have to provoke these two unknown jinxes? Great, he was beaten up now. In fact, the mystics present were not fools. How could they not see that it was not a ghost at all? President Wu had obviously offended someone, so he was messed up so badly. How could someone who dared to mess with the vice president of the Mystic Association headquarters be afraid of an elder? Therefore, this Elder How is a big fool in their eyes now. Chung Wu and Hazy were about to leave after beating him up when Wu Gong, who had been hanging on the city wall, suddenly woke up. Wu Gong endured the headache and opened his blood-stained eyes. His brain was still in a daze because of the blow to his head. He looked at the environment in front of him in confusion and asked foolishly, "Where is this? Why am I here?" Haha, so our high and mighty Vice President Wu is woken up. Congratulations. Chung Wu gloated. Where am I? Who are you? Wu Gong looked down and realized that he was surrounded by people. Moreover, everyone's gazes were sympathetic and strange. He couldn't help but be surprised as his mind gradually cleared. Vice President Wu, your current location is on the city wall at the city gate. As for me, just take it that I'm here to collect debts from you, huh? Chung Wu said with a fake smile. On the city wall? Wu Gong lowered his head and looked at himself. What he saw almost made him faint again. Damn! Not only was he naked, but his body was also covered in yellow feces. At this moment, he was emitting a foul smell. Damn it! Who did this? Come out if you have the guts. Wu Gong's mind was completely awake. His aura, which had been in a high position for many years, was unleashed. Even though he was in a sorry state, the domineering aura of a superior increased without reduction. It's you. Vice President Wu fell into the latrine. You can't take the shame, so you came to commit suicide at the city gate. We came to watch the commotion when we heard the news. Hazy explained understandingly. What are you waiting for? Put me down quickly. Wu Gong ignored Hazy and roared at his subordinates from the Mystic Association. Yes. The dazed subordinates reacted and hurriedly saved Wu Gong from the city wall in a fluster. Take off your clothes. Wu Gong ordered a subordinate with a body similar to his. Yes. The subordinate hurriedly took off his coat and handed it to Wu Gong. What happened to Elder How? Wu Gong frowned and asked in puzzlement as he looked at the bloodied Elder How lying on the ground after putting on his coat. Report, Elder How was beaten up by a ghost. A subordinate reported very seriously with an abnormally serious expression on his face. Nonsense. How can there be ghosts in this world? Wu Gong kicked the subordinate angrily and reprimanded with a displeased face. Chapter 543. The Unlucky Wu Gong. 4. President, it's true. The fallen subordinate hurriedly got up and said stubbornly. Haha. How can our Vice President Wu believe that there are ghosts in the world? He might have done many guilty things. but he won't believe in retribution. Chung Wu's voice sounded again. Who's pretending there? Show yourself if you have the guts. Wu Gonghua roared. The enemy in front of him couldn't see or touch him. He was really helpless. Vice President Wu, do that for me first. If you scram well, they'll reward you with some money, Chung Wu said frivolously, treating Wu Gong as a monkey performing tricks. So you're also a coward. You don't dare to fight me seriously at all. You only know how to scheme in secret. Wu Gong forced himself to calm down and pretended to be calm. Of course, there's no need to deal with shameless people openly. Come and arrest me if you have the ability. Don't go to the toilet so often in the future if you don't have the ability. Otherwise, you will still fall down, huh? Chung Wu reminded. With that, he quietly left the city gate with Blackie. It was time to go back to sleep after watching the commotion. Damn it, I won't let you go. Wu Gong was so angry that he lost his mind. Countless mystic energy gathered in his hand and were released into the air nonstop because he couldn't determine the exact location of the enemy, so he could only casually cast it into the void. Run. President Wu is crazy. The surrounding people scattered in fright when they saw the light blue mystic energy wreaking havoc in the sky. Their lives would be in danger if they were swept by the mystic supremacy's mystic energy. President, stop, stop. They've left. His subordinates hurriedly hid and shouted when they saw the irrational Wu Gong, hoping to stop his madness. The might and aura of a mystic supremacy were not a joke. They did not want to lose their lives, even though they were only subordinates. Wu Gong, who was in a frenzy, ignored their words. He continued to use the mystic energy in his hand until the mystic energy in his body was exhausted. He fell to the ground dispiritedly and murmured, "He really escaped." "Yes, those two people are long gone," a subordinate said honestly while suppressing his fear. Find them for me. Even if you have to dig up every inch of the ground. Find those who dare to oppose me and kill them without mercy after finding them." Wu Gong's eyes were bloodshot as he ordered with hatred. He had been in charge of the Mystic Association for so many years and had never been bullied so badly. He couldn't take it lying down if he didn't find those people and reduce them to ashes. Yes, the subordinates answered hurriedly. After that, they sent Wu Gong and Elder Hao back to their residence and began searching the world. Chung Wu and Hazy had already left the city gate when Wu Gong went crazy. They returned to Wu Gong and the others' temporary residence and sneaked into the empty room. Everyone in the room, who had been waiting for a long time, asked curiously about the situation at the city gate after seeing the two of them return. Chung Wu and Hazy sang well and described the situation vividly to everyone. Everyone laughed hysterically with joy after hearing this. After laughing, a mystic sovereign couldn't help asking, "Big Brother Chung, what should we do next?" Of course we're going to continue causing trouble," Chung Wu said with a smile. It hadn't even been a day, but Wu Gong was already covered in dirt. If they stayed here for a few days, Wu Gong might go crazy. Okay, it's good to cause trouble. It will save us a lot of trouble if we can drive Wu Gong crazy, a mystic sovereign said excitedly. He had never done such a thing in his life. However, it felt quite novel. Big Brother Chung, what should we continue causing trouble for? Hazy asked excitedly. I intend to drug him and make him stay for half a month. Then, he'll drop a few more latrines, Chung Wu said with a naughty smile. Big Brother Chung, you're ruthless. The mystic sovereigns looked at Chung Wu with admiration and praised him. Alas, Big Brother Chung was such a steady and upright child back then, but he actually learned bad things now. Miss Enemy is our enemy, and being kind to our enemy is being cruel to ourselves, so of course we can't let ourselves down. Chung Wu said righteously, his expression abnormally serious. Big Brother Chung is right. Let's quickly drug him, the mystic sovereigns said impatiently. Okay, I'll give you the medicine. Let's split up. Chung Wu distributed the medicine Long Ruoxue, gave him to everyone. Then, everyone split up to administer the medicine. Wu Gong and the others were in deep trouble the following days. Wu Gong had suffered, and Sun Wei, Wu Gong's ally, naturally would not have it easy. As the overall in charge of this matter, Cheng Wu divided his team into two groups. He oversaw the mansion where Wu Gong was, and he handed in another relatively stronger mystic sovereign, Song Di, to be in charge of Sun Wei's place. After the explosion of the Alchemist Association, Sun Wei arranged his residence in the inn in Carefree City, which was second only to the Carefree Pavilion. He also booked the inn as the temporary construction site for the Alchemist Association, at the inn where Sun Wei was staying. Song Di and the others were hiding in the empty room next to Sun Wei's room. At this moment, they were discussing a strategy in the room. They already knew about Wu Gong and were deeply inspired. Therefore, they had been discussing how to not be inferior to what Cheng Wu and the others had done. Big Brother Song, Wu Gong lost his face. We can't fall too far behind. A mystic sovereign couldn't help but say. Yes, we have to discuss it properly and see how we can leave a deep impression on Sun Wei. Song Di agreed with his partner's words and said with a naughty smile. A soft moan sounded from the next room as everyone was discussing. They immediately perked up when they heard that. Everyone looked at each other and smiled tacitly before leaving the room. Chapter 544, Sun Wei's Ending 1. At the door of Sun Wei's room, everyone turned invisible and listened for a while. Then, Song Di gently pushed open a crack in the door and threw a small pill into the room. After waiting for a while, a scream suddenly sounded in the room, followed by the angry voice of a woman. What's the matter with you? Why did you suddenly become like this? Lan Ning'er's beautiful face was full of displeasure in the room. This man was really too useless. He actually couldn't continue anymore. Alas, how irritating. I don't know either. It was fine just now. Sun Wei's face was equally depressed. He couldn't understand what was wrong with him. He obviously wanted it very much, but a certain part of him was disappointing. Did you indulge too much and do it too many times? Lan Ning'er questioned with a face full of disbelief. At this moment, she was thinking that Sun Wei must have gone to find another woman, which was why he was so powerless in front of her. Ning'er, you have to believe me. There's really no one else but you, Sun Wei promised sincerely. Boo-hoo. Why was Ning'er so unreasonable? He was with Ning'er almost every day. He had to have the time to find other women even if he wanted to. Then what's going on? We won't be done if you don't explain it to me clearly. Lan Ning'er said stubbornly. Ning'er, I really don't know. Perhaps the pressure has been too great recently. Sun Wei guessed. Something kept happening around him these 2 days, but he couldn't find the instigator. How could he not be angry? In that case, rest early today. Lan Ning'er said impatiently. She despised Sun Wei's uselessness in her heart. She even felt that this man's mental endurance was too poor. If Brother Lung encountered such a matter, he definitely wouldn't be as useless as him. After speaking, Lan Ning'er turned around and went to sleep with her back facing Sun Wei. Ning'er. Sun Wei's already annoyed heart became even more depressed seeing Lan Ning'er's actions. Sun Wei lay beside Lan Ning'er and listened to her even breathing, but he couldn't sleep for a long time. After some time, Sun Wei felt his sexual desire again, and even that desire became stronger. Moreover, a certain part reacted again. After a while of silence, Sun Wei felt that not only was he unable to suppress the burning desire, it was becoming more and more intense. He had no choice but to wake Lan Ning'er up and roll over to press her down. What are you doing? Lan Ning'er opened her eyes and questioned with a displeased face. She was already asleep, but Sun Wei actually woke her up. She would definitely not let Sun Wei go if he couldn't give her a reasonable explanation. Ning'er, I want it. I want it so much. Sun Wei's hands kept swimming around Lan Ning'er's red fruit body, and his hot lips kissed Lan Ning'er's snow-white skin. You want it? Can you do it or not? Lan Ning'er questioned impatiently. She didn't want Sun Wei to fail again halfway. One had to know that the feeling of neither going up nor down was very uncomfortable. You'll know if I can do it or not if you try, Sun Wei said angrily. No man could bear Lan Ning'er's doubts, and he was naturally no exception. But Sun Wei couldn't keep it up again in no time. You're really too useless. Lan Ninger roared furiously. Her sexual drive was just aroused when Sunway collapsed weakly again. How could she not be angry? Ninger, don't be angry. We'll try again, Sunway said angrily. Humph. He didn't believe that he couldn't finish it. After giving up and trying a few more times, Sunway still couldn't harden up. Lan Ninger completely lost her patience and was even angrier. Sunway, you're really too useless. Lan Ninger roared angrily. Humph. He couldn't even be a normal man. She really didn't know what else this man could count on him for. Ninger, this was an accident. Really, I promise. Sunway quickly coaxed. He might be unable to make himself lose face as a man, but he really didn't think that this was his problem. He always felt that he was normal. An accident? What can you guarantee? Lan Ninger's beautiful eyes glanced at Sunway, obviously not believing his words. Ninger, let's try a few more times. I definitely won't have any problems, Sunway discussed. Do you still want to do it? How long do you want to torment me for? Lan Ninger was angry. She was aroused but couldn't get off every time. This feeling was not good, so she really couldn't cooperate with Sunway anymore. Let's try a few more times. It will definitely work, Sunway said, unwilling to give up. He couldn't believe that he really couldn't. After all, if he couldn't do this, it would be a fatal blow to any man. Do it yourself if you want to. I'm going to bed, Lan Ninger said coldly. Then she turned her back to Sunway and went asleep. Ninger, Sunway called out softly, but Lan Ninger didn't give him any response. This made him even more annoyed. Moreover, the fire in his body began to stir again for some reason. Sunway looked at his excited self and pressed down on Lan Ninger without any explanation. Lan Ninger was woken up by his actions again. She glared at him with a displeased face and said, "What do you want to do?" "I said I want it," Sunway continued. However, Lan Ninger was a little impatient by his slightly crude actions. She swatted away Sunway's large hand that was wandering on her body and roared furiously, "Don't touch me. You are my woman. Who else should I touch if not you?" Sunway's anger rose. He also didn't feel good repeating this torment, and Lan Ninger was so uncooperative, so this couldn't help making him a little angry. "Let's talk about it when you can do it." Lan Ninger's beautiful face was full of disdain. What she implied was that he couldn't do it now. "I can do it now," Sunway roared furiously. Then, he ignored Lan Ninger's refusal and wanted to use force. A few minutes later, Sunway couldn't keep it up anymore again. Chapter 545. Sunway's Ending 2. This is what you mean by you can do it now? Lan Ninger was so angry that her entire body was trembling. She had been tormented countless times in this short period of time. Moreover, Sunway, who always doted on her, actually used force on her. However, it was fine if he used force to finish it, but the result was the same every time. The repeated torment made her lose all her patience, and the contempt for Sunway in her heart gradually deepened. "I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. Ninger, don't be angry with me," Sunway said guiltily. "Can I sleep now?" Lan Ninger asked coldly. The word impatient was obvious on her face, and the disdain in her beautiful eyes was already too lazy to hide. "Sleep. I won't touch you any more today," Sunway said helplessly. Alas, he didn't blame Ninger because his mood was not much better than Ninger's. "I'm going to bed." Lan Ninger turned around and went asleep with her back facing Sunway. Sunway sat alone until dawn and had a sleepless night. The few people hiding in the room next to Sunway also had a sleepless night. However, they were different from Sunway. Sunway was so depressed that he couldn't sleep, but they were too excited to watch the commotion and had insomnia. "Hee hee, Big Brother Song. You're really evil. You actually tormented Sunway repeatedly. At this rate, I think it won't be long before he becomes impotent even if we don't drug Sunway anymore," a mystic sovereign said with a wretched smile, gloating. "Oomph. Who asked him to provoke our miss? So what if he's from the Sun family? Well, still teach him a lesson," Song Di said nonchalantly. He had always had an unruly character. He had really never submitted to anyone except Lung Ruoxue. Sunway might be from the Sun family, one of the three major families, but Sunway was nothing in his eyes. That's right. We have to teach him a lesson no matter who he is. Another mystic sovereign echoed. Yes, yes. The mystic sovereigns nodded in unison. Just like that, a few mystic sovereign powerhouses hid in the guest room and found small trouble for Sunway and Lan Ninger from time to time. In just a few days, Sunway and Lan Ninger became dispirited and lost a whole lot of weight. In the room, Sunway and Lan Ninger sat on the bed in the room with their heads lowered, thinking about something. Ninger. Sunway finally spoke after a long silence. What is it? Lan Ninger said indifferently with a very cold attitude. Ninger, don't be like this, okay? Sunway said helplessly. Alas, he knew that Ninger had been very unhappy these few days, but he also felt uncomfortable in his heart. Then what do you want me to do? Lan Ninger roared furiously. Sunway wanted to try every day during the past few days, but it didn't work every time. In the end, she was unwilling to cooperate, so Sunway directly used force. This made her feel abnormally disgusted. Ninger, I'm sorry, but I really don't think it's my fault, Sunway explained. In fact, he had a very strong feeling every time, but he just couldn't complete it every time. It's not your problem. Could it be mine? Lan Ninger glared with her beautiful eyes and questioned very unpleasantly. This man obviously couldn't satisfy her anymore, but he always pretended to be strong. In the end, it made the two of them abnormally painful. That's not what I mean. I think someone is messing with me. Sunway voiced his doubts. For a few days, there was no reaction whenever he wanted to do it. When he gave up, the feeling was very strong. So he suspected that someone was scheming in the dark. Stop finding excuses. You're obviously the one who is unable to do it anymore. Lan Ninger said disdainfully. There were rumors outside that Sunway was impotent now, so she also believed it. And if that was the case, it was impossible for her to hang out with Sunway anymore. Ninger, why can't I? I'm very healthy. Don't listen to the rumors outside. Sunway quickly coaxed. He knew that there were many rumors that were disadvantageous to him outside now, but he had never been able to capture the person who spread those rumors, so this made him very depressed. You can? It's been a few days. Have you satisfied me even once? Sunway, if you can't find the reason, then there's no need for us to be together. Lan Ninger directly gave an ultimatum. Ninger, can you not be like this? You have to believe me. Someone is really messing with me. I suspect it's Long Ruashue and the others, Sunway said with certainty. Is that so? Then quickly capture that ugly freak. Lan Ninger roared. Long Ruakshue's name was like a nightmare to her now, so she would lose her reason from anger as soon as she heard this name. Ninger, don't worry. I've been sending people to look for their whereabouts. President Wu is also sending people to look for them. Sunway comforted. President Wu wanted to find the whereabouts of Long Ruashue and the others more than him. Therefore, he sent many people to look for them, but they still found nothing. Now, President Wu had diarrhea every day, and his road was basically a little unstable. Therefore, President Wu was much worse than him. There are so many of you looking for Long Ruashue, and you've been looking for her for so many days. Logically speaking, Carefree City should have been searched several times already. Why haven't you found her yet? Lan Ninger asked with a face full of doubts. She really doubted if they had done their best to look for her. If they had really been looking, why hadn't they found a single strand of Long Ruashue and the others after so many days? Ninger, we've almost turned Carefree City upside down. We've sent people to check every inn and residence, but there's none. Alas, I don't know which rat hole they're hiding in. Sunway said very gloomily. He couldn't find the whereabouts of the person he wanted to find, but he couldn't find anyone. This made him very angry. Then what should we do? Are we going to continue like this? We won't be able to have peace every day if we can't find the whereabouts of Long Ruashue and the others. Lan Ninger was a little angry from embarrassment. Sunway had been experimenting nonstop these few days, provoking her every time. However, he was not responsible for watering her. She had not been satisfied for many days. This prevented her anger from accumulating and her temper from growing. Chapter 546, Sunwise Ending 3. Ninger, calm down first. I know you hate Lung Ruashue. In fact, I also want to chop her into pieces, burn her bones, and scatter her ashes. However, the prerequisite is that we have to find them. Otherwise, we can only sulk ourselves. Sun Wei stretched out his arms and hugged Lan Ninger to console her. I don't know where is Lung Ruashue hiding? Why can't we find them? By the way, did you search the Lan family's yard? Lan Ninger suddenly asked. It was normal to let them stay in the Lan family's yard with Lan Lai's relationship with Lung Ruashue. However, she hadn't heard that Lan Lai was also in Carefree City. Yes, they are not in the Lan family's yard, Sun Wei said helplessly. They had almost dug 3 feet into the ground in Carefree City, but they could not find the whereabouts of Lung Ruashue and the others. Then where will they hide? Could they really burrow underground? Lan Ninger couldn't help guessing. Probably not. They're probably hiding, Sun Wei said with certainty. This conclusion was obtained after discussing with President Wu. The two of them didn't believe that Lung Ruashue and the others had already left Carefree City because they had been fooled these few days. Are you sure they haven't left yet? Lan Ninger asked doubtfully. They definitely didn't leave. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been fooled by others. Sun Wei was very sure of his guess. So what if they didn't leave? We can't find them at all. Moreover, we're in the open, and they're hiding in the dark. They can deal with us however they want, but we can't find them at all. Lan Ninger said gloomily. This helplessness was really too unbearable. She didn't know if she would go crazy if this continued. Ninger, don't worry. Bear with it for a few more days. We will definitely find them, Sun Wei coaxed. All right, they'll give you half a month. They'll leave Carefree City if you can't find her by then. Lan Ninger said her thoughts. Are you leaving me? Sun Wei said in disbelief. Ninger was already his woman, but she still wanted to leave him. He would never allow that. What else can we do? I don't want to worry all day about someone coming to cause trouble, but we are unable to capture her, Lan Ninger said nonchalantly. Ninger, you're already my woman now, Sun Wei reminded. So what? You're so useless. I probably won't have a good life with you. It's better to leave as soon as possible. Lan Ninger said nonchalantly. In fact, she didn't like Sun Wei at all. The reason why she mixed with him was only to borrow Sun Wei's current power. Therefore, it was only right for her to leave since Sun Wei couldn't satisfy her now. Ninger, I won't let you leave me, Sun Wei said very seriously. Ninger was his, even in death. He would never allow his woman to lie under another man and beg for love. You're so useless. You can't even capture a woman, and you are impotent now. What's the point of me being with you? Lan Ninger's beautiful face was full of disdain. I said that someone is messing with me. I'm a normal man. Sun Wei roared angrily. He was abnormally angry at Lan Ninger's doubts. However, he couldn't do anything to Ninger. After all, Ninger was the woman he liked. Then quickly go and catch her? What's the use of just telling me? Lan Ninger rolled her eyes at Sun Wei and didn't pity his encounter because Sun Wei was already on the same level as useless in her eyes. Don't worry, they'll definitely capture them. They'll let you know that your man is 100 times stronger than all men. Sun Wei roared. After shouting, he abandoned Lan Ninger and left the inn angrily alone. After Sun Wei left, Song Di and the others followed him until they followed the depressed Sun Wei into a deserted forest. Sun Wei walked without feeling anything. Suddenly, his vision darkened, and then he lost consciousness. He didn't know anything. When he woke up, he found himself in an unfamiliar place. Where is this place? Sun Wei couldn't help muttering to himself. The fear in his heart gradually deepened as he looked at the white surroundings. This is hell. Haha, Sun Wei, I didn't expect this day to come for you. Zhang Yin's voice sounded from the empty corner. You are Zhang Yin? Zhang Yin, quickly come out. Don't pretend to be mysterious, Sun Wei shouted fearfully. Cold sweat couldn't help flowing down his forehead. Hee, Do you think there's a need for a dead person to pretend? Zhang Yin said with a light smile, his voice abnormally cold as if it was transmitted from afar. Dead person? You're dead? No, that's impossible. Sunwei would not believe that Zhang Yin really died. In his heart, Zhang Yin was an unkillable cockroach. Otherwise, he would not have chased Zhang Yin for more than a decade, but Zhang Yin was still alive and well. What's impossible? Didn't a huge explosion happen in your Sun family's yard? Do you think I can dodge it in my current state? Zhang Yin asked coldly. Weren't you rescued by your master? Sunwei questioned doubtfully. I want to, but my young miss doesn't know my current situation. How can she come to save me? I died in the explosion that time, Zhang Yin explained. Then what about your master? He's a mystic supremacy. He can't be dead too, right? Sunwei probed. Didn't you lock master up? Why are you asking me? Zhang Yin pretended to be in disbelief. He ran away, Sunwei said gloomily. He wouldn't be so nervous if Du Min hadn't run away. He was on tenterhooks all day because he was really afraid that Du Min would seek revenge on him. Are you sure my master escaped and wasn't killed by Wu Gong? Zhang Yin asked doubtfully. Yes, he really escaped. President Wu didn't kill him. Sunwei said honestly. He was very sure about this. Chapter 547. Sun Weiss Ending 4. But I don't believe you because I did not see my master. However, I want to know what happened to your master. You bastard who bullies your master and destroys your ancestors. Zhang Yin scolded. He really hated Sun Weiss' actions because alchemists like Sun Wei who betrayed their masters and destroyed their ancestors in this world were absolutely considered strange. I was forced to. I didn't want to. Sun Wei pretended to be pitiful. Nonsense. Who forced you? It's obvious that you have ulterior motives, and you still have the cheek to quibble. Sun Wei, as a man, you have to be daring. You're not worthy of being a man at all. Zhang Yin's voice was full of disdain, and the temperature here suddenly dropped a lot just as he finished speaking. I. Sun Wei crossed his arms in front of his chest and couldn't speak properly. Why was it suddenly so cold? What was going on? He couldn't understand. Could Jing Yin really be dead? That was impossible, right? He still couldn't believe it. What about you? You are a scumbag, a bastard, a scumbag who bullies his master and ancestors. You will not have a good end, Zhang Yin said disdainfully. Zhang Yin, don't pretend. Come out if you have the guts. Sun Wei gathered his courage and roared loudly. The place he was staying now was gloomy. Moreover, he could only hear Zhang Yin's voice but couldn't see him. This made the pressure in his heart very big, and the fear in his heart deepened. I said him dead. Don't you understand human language? Moreover, do you think ghosts have guts? Zhang Yin said with a light smile. Sun Wei's heart was not so good compared to his relaxed mood. Can you tell me where this is first? Sun Wei composed himself and asked. He was skeptical of Zhang Yin's words, but he didn't even know where this place was. This made the pressure in his heart increase. This is a place where only people who have done bad things will come. So you're here. Zhang Yin gloated. He felt so good seeing Sun Wei's pale face and trembling body in the dark. No, that's impossible. Aren't you here too? Sun Wei hurriedly asked in return. I'm here to seek revenge on you. You don't know, right? The underworld lord already knows what you did. So he's very angry at you for deceiving your masters and destroying your ancestors and framing your friends. He also agreed to let me come find you personally to seek revenge. This is probably the so-called retribution for evil. You've done too many bad things. You won't have a good life even if you go to hell. Zhang Yin said with a smile. His laughter seemed to have the joy of having avenged a great enmity. No, I didn't. I was forced. Sun Wei still wanted to quibble. Forced? Who forced you? Zhang Yin questioned coldly. He was really very disappointed with Sun Wei's true nature. He also couldn't understand why he treated Sun Wei as a lifelong friend back then. His taste was really not good. Of course it's my family. You're not me. You don't know how much pressure I'm under, Sunway said pitifully. Stress? Can you frame me just because you're stressed? Zhang Yin questioned. I don't have a choice either. If I don't do that, I won't be of any use in the family. I don't want to become an abandoned son. So I have to become the disciple of the Alchemist Association's president. That way, I will have a place in the family. Sunway said honestly, his face still full of fear. You did all the bad things yourself, and you actually said that your family forced you. Sunway, I find that your skin is really extraordinarily thick. Zhang Yin snorted coldly and said mockingly, Really, I had no choice either. You were my biggest rival back then. I wouldn't have had the chance if I didn't frame you. Boo-hoo. I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. Sunway said with a slight sob, as if he had suffered a lot. Sunway, don't quibble anymore. You obviously have ill intentions, but you actually said that you were forced. Are you a man or not? It's really embarrassing for a man to be like you, Shungen said disdainfully. Of course am a man, but am not anymore. Am even impotent now. Boo-hoo. Sunway even used such a reason in order to live. He thought he knew Zhang Yin very well, so he knew that the more he pretended to be pitiful, the greater his chance of survival. Sunway, you're really too shameless. Zhang Yin was speechless. Sunway was really unscrupulous in order to survive. He actually abandoned the dignity of a man. I'm telling the truth. I really am impotent. Boo-hoo, Sunway cried. This matter was very embarrassing, but it was better than losing his life. Sunway, stop pretending to be pitiful. I won't pity you, Zhang Yin said coldly. Sunway really underestimated him. Did he think he was still the overly kind man from back then? Then what do you want? I can do anything as long as you let me go, Sunway pleaded. He didn't want to die. Boo-hoo. Tell me how you framed me back then. If you satisfy me, I might consider pleading with the underworld lord to let you live. Zhang Yin said after some thought. He had to let Sunway reveal the truth himself. Only then could he completely wash away his innocence. Otherwise, all the arrangements made by Miss would be in vain. Will you really let me go if I tell you? Sunway said uncertainly. Of course. The Dark Lord said that this is our personal grudge. He won't pursue it if I'm willing to let you go, Zhang Yin said very sincerely. Okay, I'll tell you. Sunway hesitated but still said, Tell me quickly, I'm listening. Zhang Yin urged. Zhang Yin, you are actually a very good friend. I'm sorry, Sunway said emotionally. Stop talking about this. I don't want to hear it. Just tell me how you framed me, Zhang Yin said without any emotion. Do you still remember that patient from back then? Sunway asked. Yes, Zhang Yin answered. How could he not remember? It was said that the patient died because he took the pill he refined. At the same time, it changed his fate. Chapter 548. Reward 1. In fact, that person didn't die at all. He recovered quickly after taking the pills you refined. I gave him benefits, so he was willing to cooperate with me to frame you. Sunway explained. He didn't die? Then where is he now? Zhang Yin asked while suppressing his anger. He really didn't expect his momentary kindness to cause him an undeserved calamity. I don't know either. However, he should be living a good life now because I gave him a lot of money back then, Sunway said. Living a good life? Sunway, why didn't you kill that person to silence him? Didn't you silence many people who worked for you back then? Zhang Yin said in puzzlement. I wanted to kill him, but that person was very cunning. He slipped away by himself before I could do anything. I've never found his whereabouts. Sunway said gloomily. Alas, he wouldn't have chased Zhang Yin for more than a decade if that person hadn't disappeared. I didn't expect you to fail as well, Zhang Yin said coldly. Yes, I didn't expect him to slip away so quickly either, Sunway said with slight regret. Sunway, you did all sorts of bad things and bullied your master and ancestors. Don't you have nightmares at night? Zhang Yin asked very curiously. I didn't. I was forced. Sunway defended himself. Haha, Sunway, I've lived for so long, but this is the first time I've seen someone as thick-skinned as you. Zheng Yin said disdainfully. I had no choice, Sun Wei emphasized. Sun Wei, was there any other reason why you framed me back then besides being jealous of me? Zheng Yin couldn't understand. If it was just jealousy, he shouldn't have been tortured to death. No, I want to become the disciple of the president of the Alchemist Association. However, your existence is too much pressure on me, so I had no choice but to attack you. In fact, I also treat you as a friend. Sun Wei tried to move him with affection because he thought he knew Zheng Yin very well. Zheng Yin had always been a very kind and righteous man in his heart. Otherwise, he would not have successfully framed him back then. Sun Wei, don't insult my intelligence. You've never treated me as a friend. You approached me with a reason from the beginning, Zheng Yin said very coldly. He really didn't expect Sun Wei to still want to use his kindness now. Alas, did Sun Wei really think he was still the Zheng Yin from back then? I'm telling the truth. Sun Wei's attitude was abnormally sincere. Sun Wei, no one will believe you anymore, including your master, Zheng Yin reminded kindly. Master? Where is my master? I want to see my master. Sun Wei heard the word master as if he had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. Sun Wei, don't waste your energy. Your master doesn't want to see you. Zheng Yin looked at the middle-aged man beside him and said honestly, No. Master won't treat me like this. Sun Wei didn't believe that his master, who had always loved him, would not recognize him. You don't even acknowledge your master anymore. It's only right for your master to treat you like this, Zheng Yin reminded. I was forced. I was really forced. Master, believe me, save me. I don't want to die. Sun Wei shouted crazily, but he didn't receive any response. Even Zheng Yin's voice disappeared. In the forest, Long Ruoxue looked at the dozens of old men with different expressions around her. These old men were the elders of the Alchemist Association, who were once locked up by Sun Wei. Sun Wei's master, Renli, was naturally among them. Now that you know the truth, do you have anything to say? Long Ruoxue raised her eyebrows and asked coldly. She wouldn't care about the lives of these old men at all if it weren't for the sake of justice for Zheng Yin. An elder wanted to say something, but he didn't know how to say it. What? So? Is returning justice to my subordinates making things difficult for you? In that case, there's no need for you to live anymore. Long Ruoxue said very ruthlessly. You can't kill us. We are respected alchemists. Another elder said in disbelief. Respected alchemists? Haha, this is too funny. In my eyes, you are just stray dogs. Since I saved you but you can't be used by me, then there's no point in you living. I don't raise idle people. Transcend as early as possible. Long Ruoxue said with a light smile. Swear, they won't be able to reincarnate even if they die, the freak said gloatingly. That's true. They'll keep their souls for refining pills. It's said that in ancient times, there was a pill that required souls to refine, Long Ruoxue said lightly. Lass, you know that too? The little old man said in surprise. Yes, Grandpa do. Do you know that too? Long Ruoxue asked in return. Haha, lass, I also read about it in an ancient book. I heard that pills with souls added could be nurtured into pill spirits, the little old man said with great interest. Grandpa do. Let's refine a pill spirit after we find all the herbs. It will save us a lot of trouble with the pill spirit. Long Ruoxue suggested. Her beautiful eyes kept circling the dozens of elders, as if she was looking for a suitable soul. Long Ruoxue's conversation with the little old man made the hair on the bodies of the elders present stand on end. Boo-hoo. This woman was really too ruthless. They didn't want to be refined into pill spirits. Okay. Hee. I'm afraid only you can refine an alchemist spirit. Well, my good disciple also has a chance, the little old man said with envy. The conditions for refining an alchemist spirit were very stringent. Apart from having a soul, the requirements for alchemist's flames were also very high. There was no way to refine a soul unless it was a divine flame. Yes, there are so many souls. If we find enough herbs, we should be able to refine many pill spirits. Grandpa do. They'll give each of you one then, Long Ruoxue said very generously. Hee lass, they'll wait for you to say that. Leave the soul extraction to me. I know how to do it. The little old man volunteered. Humph. These elders really didn't care about face. They actually dared to put on airs at a time like this. The lass would not tolerate them. Chapter 549. Reward 2. Okay, Grandpa do, then it'll have to trouble you to deal with these people first. They occupy too much space. Lung Ruashua said very disdainfully. Humph. She wouldn't have saved them if she knew they were so stubborn. Okay, no problem. Leave it to me, the little old man replied. Then he raised a hand above his head and prepared to attack. Wait. Lung Ruashua suddenly stopped the little old man before he could do anything. Lass, don't be soft-hearted. Some people are not worth it, the little old man advised. Grandpa do, you're mistaken. I want them to pay for the rooms and meals over the past few days. Am not obligated to raise them for nothing, Lung Ruashua explained with a smile. After saving these people, she hid them in the guest room she booked for Carefree Hall, so she paid for their meals and lodging these few days. Yes, that makes sense. Return the money you owe the girl first, and then he'll deal with you. The little old man nodded and ordered the dozens of elders with very ugly expressions. Your Excellency Du Min, your status in the Alchemist Association is extraordinary. How can you help outsiders bully us? An elder questioned with slight dissatisfaction. In fact, he didn't think Du Min would really kill them, so he was fearless. Outsiders? To me, you are the outsiders, the little old man said emotionlessly, despising these elders who still couldn't see the situation clearly. Your Excellency Du Min, everything is negotiable. It's really a little difficult for us to seek justice for Jingyan now, another elder mediated. What do you mean? The little old man narrowed his eyes and asked lightly. Your Excellency Du Min, you should be aware of the situation in the headquarters. We are also being investigated by the headquarters now, so we have no way to clear Jingyan's name, the elder explained with a troubled expression. Yes, the other elders quickly echoed. Do you mean that you want us to help you snatch back the Alchemist Association headquarters? Lung Ruashua asked with a light smile, her beautiful face full of realization. Humph. These old foxes finally revealed their foxtails. If you are willing to help, we will immediately clear Jingyan's name after we obtain control of the headquarters, the elder said hurriedly. He might not have interacted with Lung Ruashua for long, but he was very impressed with Lung Ruashua's methods. You're negotiating with me, Lung Ruashua said indifferently, no joy or anger on her beautiful face. We just hope that Miss Lung can help, the elder said very sincerely. No, we don't care even if you can't clear Jingyan's name. Anyway, the Alchemist Association has been laid to waste. Isn't it not so important to clear her name? Lung Ruashua said nonchalantly. Humph. The person who could threaten her hadn't been born yet. How could she be threatened by a few disheveled old men? The elders were stunned. None of them expected Lung Ruashua to refuse so directly. This was a little unexpected and also made them not mentally prepared because this was far from what they had originally imagined. The reason why they didn't immediately agree to return Jingyan's innocence was also because they hoped to hold the initiative in the negotiation. However, Lung Ruashua actually didn't play according to the rules. Miss Lung, what should we do to make you willing to help us? Another elder couldn't help asking. Sunway was in Lung Ruashua's hands, and they couldn't take back the authority of the headquarters with their strength, so they really needed Lung Ruashua's help. It's impossible for me to help you, but you can pay me. I can help you if the remuneration is satisfactory, Lung Ruashua said with a light smile. In fact, she had decided to ruthlessly kill them since she sent people to save these old men, who asked them to actually dare to bully her people. Humph. Then how much do you want, Miss Lung? An elder asked while enduring the pain. Not much. I just want 2/3 of your headquarters assets, Lung Ruashua said very kindly. Cold sweat broke out on the foreheads of the elders, and their hearts fluttered. Wasn't 2/3 more than that? One had to know that it was the wealth accumulated by the Alchemist Association for thousands of years. 2/3 of it was gone in an instant by her exorbitant demand. It was really too despicable. What? You can't bear to? then forget it. Long Ruoxue shrugged her shoulders nonchalantly. Miss Long, can we discuss it? An elder asked. Okay, discuss it nicely. However, my patience is limited, Long Ruoxue warned, implying that she would not wait for them for long. Okay, the elders replied. Then they walked to another corner and discussed it. Miss, will they agree? Zheng Yin asked curiously. Just as Miss said, it was no longer important if the Alchemist Association did not clear his name because Sunway had already said it himself, and many people had already heard it. This was enough for him. Yes, Long Ruoxue said with certainty. Little Snowy, you're ruthless, Lan Ming said with admiration. Boo-hoo. He realized that the price Little Snowy offered him was already considered very cheap. We have to attack when the time comes. Who asked them to care so much about the Alchemist Association? Long Ruoxue said with a smile. Those who dared to bully her and dared to threaten her had to pay the price. Miss, what should we do with Sunway? Zheng Yin suddenly asked. Do you want to kill him? Long Ruoxue asked in return. Sunway was now in an illusion that she got confounded to set up. That illusion had a huge impact on people's hearts and would cause them to hallucinate. That was why Sun Wei thought he was really in hell, and fear had already taken root in his heart. No, I don't want to dirty my hands. Zheng Yin thought for a while and said. In fact, he really wanted to kill Sun Wei with his own hands previously, but now he felt that there was no need because Sun Wei's spirit in the illusion had already been greatly stimulated. There was no sense of accomplishment even if he killed Sun Wei now. Chapter 550. Reward 3. Then hand him to confound? Long Ruoxue signaled the little white snake, wrapped around her wrist to get rid of Sun Wei after speaking. The little white snake understood and quietly slid down Long Ruoxue's wrist, crawling toward the illusion it had set up. Half an hour later, the elders of the Alchemist Association returned to Long Ruoxue and the others. Miss Long, we've already discussed it. If you can help us take back control of the Alchemist Association, we are willing to pay 2/3 of our assets as remuneration, an elder said as a representative. Even though 2/3 of their assets made them feel pain, it was better than losing the Alchemist Association. Those who know the truth are outstanding. Your decision is wise, Long Ruoxue praised. I wonder when will Miss Long be able to help us take back the Alchemist Association headquarters? The elder continued asking. Anytime if you're not afraid of Wu Gong finding trouble with you, Long Ruoxue replied with a light smile. The elder was a little depressed because they were not sure if Wu Gong would cause trouble for them now. However, they wanted to take back the headquarters quickly. Boo-hoo. How conflicted. You have to think carefully, Long Ruoxue reminded. Miss Long, we've decided to take back the headquarters as soon as possible. The elders exchanged glances before an elder spoke. Okay, but I can only cooperate with you in the dark. The main force to snatch back the Alchemist Association is you. Long Ruoxue said. Okay. The elders nodded. Wu Gong's problem was not resolved. They couldn't ask Long Ruoxue to help openly. They didn't want to be Wu Gong's first target. Then plan carefully. Tell me if you need my cooperation. By the way, don't forget to pay for the room and food. Long Ruoxue said in a good mood. The elders were collectively speechless. They had already paid 2/3 of the Alchemist Association's assets as remuneration. Why did Long Ruoxue still remember the small money for rooms and meals? Sun Wei's matter has been resolved. Let's return to the inn quickly. Long Ruoxue pulled the freak directly out of this uninhabited forest, Zheng Yin and the others following closely behind. Long Ruoxue and the others walked directly into the living room after returning to the carefree pavilion. After sitting in the chair, Long Ruoxue looked around at everyone in the hall and said, Song Di, you did well? Thank you for the compliment, Mississippi. Is there anything else you need us to do? Song Di asked expectantly. Their mission was relatively easier because Sun Wei was too weak and there were no powerful experts around him. Have you dealt with Sun Wei's subordinates? Long Ruoxue asked. It's been settled, Song Di reported. Oh, Then go and help those elders from the Alchemist Association, Lung Ruoshue said after some thought. Miss, the people from the Alchemist Association headquarters are not strong. They don't need so many of us, Song Di said carefully. In fact, he wanted to help Big Brother Chung and the others deal with Wu Gong, but he didn't know if Miss would agree. Then go and help Ching Wu. The others will help those elders, Lung Ruoshue said understandingly. Miss, we also want to, a mystic sovereign said with some difficulty. He stopped mid-sentence. Go to Chengwu after you're done with the Alchemist Association's matters, Lung Ruoshue said. She knew very well what these subordinates were thinking. She couldn't dampen their spirits since they were so enthusiastic. Yes, Mississippi. We'll go find those elders now. The mystic sovereign stood up and left the living room impatiently. Songdi, go too, Lung Ruoshue said helplessly. Alas, when did these people become impatient? Yes, miss, Songdi quickly answered, stood up, and left the living room. Haha, lass, your subordinates are quite proactive in their work, the little old man said with a face full of envy. If the elders of the Alchemist Association headquarters were like these people, the Alchemist Association would not have become like this. Grandpa do. I caused the Alchemist Association to bleed profusely. You won't blame me, right? Lung Ruoshue asked calmly. No. Hee. It's better than letting those assets enter your pocket than letting those ingrates benefit. Moreover, didn't you leave a third of it for them? It's enough for them to rebuild the headquarters. The little old man said very generously. It was very easy for alchemists to earn money, so he had never taken those worldly possessions seriously. Hee, it's good that Grandpa Do doesn't blame me. It's getting late. Let's rest early, Lung Ruoshue said as she looked at the sky. Okay. Everyone nodded and then returned to their rooms to rest. Lung Ruoshue and the freak entered the bracelet directly after returning to their room. Schwer, will the matter of the Alchemist Association be resolved tomorrow? Empty, who was waiting for them on the stone chair in front of the purple bamboo hut, asked. Haha, that will depend on the abilities of those elders, Lung Ruoshue said with a smile. Aren't you going to help them think of some way? Empty asked curiously. Not only are those old men stubborn, but they also want to play mind games with me. I don't care. However, I've already sent a few mystic sovereigns to help them. As for when I can regain control of the Alchemist Association, it's not up to me to decide, Lung Ruoshue said with a light smile. Schwer, don't you want to receive the money early? Empty asked with a smile, his smiling black eyes full of teasing. I'm not in a hurry. Anyway, Wu Gong's matter isn't over yet. If those old men dare to renege on their debts, they'll send someone to inform Wu Gong. Hee, Wu Gong will be happy to cause trouble for them if he can't find us. Lung Ruoshue smiled evilly. However, she was very confident that those self-righteous old men would not dare to renege on their debts. Schwer, you're so bad. Haha, Empty said happily. Those stubborn old men from the Alchemist Association were unlucky to have encountered Schwer. I respect people tenfold if they respect me. Those old men are not sincere at all. I saved them, but they still play mind games with me. Will I still be Lung Ruoshue if I don't teach them a lesson? Lung Ruoshue said nonchalantly. She had to take revenge for her enmity. Whoever provoked her would not have a good life. Empty frowned and said after some thought, destroy everyone who isn't convinced. Let's see who still dares to say anything. The freak suggested. You're ruthless enough, but what you said makes sense. Empty said after some thought. Then let Lan Ming take over the mess in the Mystic Association after Wu Gong dies. Lung Ruoshue gloated. Hee, little Lan would be troublesome in the future. She didn't care who took over as long as she didn't have to care. Poor little Lan. Your fate has been decided by the three of you irresponsible fellows just like that. Alas. Icy, which had been sleeping on the stone table, opened its ice-blue eyes and said with slight sympathy, Little Icy, sleep on your own. Don't eavesdrop. Lung Ruoshue picked up Icy and covered its little ears with her hand. Little Snowy, I don't need to eavesdrop. I'm listening openly, Icy said nonchalantly. Then don't listen openly. Hurry up and sleep. Lung Ruoxue urged. Oh, right, Little Snowy. You don't need my help to deal with Wu Gong. Icy asked, its beautiful ice-blue eyes full of interest. Help? Wouldn't you help him if you wiped him out with a sneeze? Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. She didn't intend to let Wu Gong live. Where could she find him if Icy sneezed? Hee, I don't have to sneeze, Icy said with a naughty smile. Boo-hoo. Little Snowy wouldn't think that it only knew how to sneeze. It was looking down on it too much. Master, leave Wu Gong to me. The transmogrified Feng Zhan flew over and landed on Long Ruox's shoulder. You're only a level 2 transcendent divine beast. Wu Gong is a mystic supremacy. Can you beat him? Icy said with slight disdain. Humph. Damn stinky bird. How dare you snatch food from its mouth? It seemed like it had beaten too little. It had to teach this bird a lesson when it had time. TCH, I might only be a level 2 transcendent divine beast and might not be as strong as that long-legged Wu Gong, but I have many subordinates. I don't believe that we can't burn that Wu Gong to death with every bird in flame. Feng Zhan said confidently. Humph. Those stinky dragons wouldn't dare to provoke them if they attacked in groups. Icy's forehead was full of black lines. Boo-hoo. It was not a match for these stinky birds in a group battle. Alas. It was good to have many beasts. Poor lonely person. Schwer. I realize that your beasts are even more ruthless. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Boundless' forehead. Alas. Not to mention Wu Gong. Even he couldn't stand the southern spirit flame of the Fire Phoenix clan. And each bird had a mouthful of southern spirit flame? Then Wu Gong probably wouldn't even have ashes left. He felt some pity for Wu Gong now. Hee, of course. Their masters are too weak. Lung Ruox's beautiful face was full of pride. Your strength is low? You're already a mystic monarch. A mystic monarch can also be considered a powerhouse on the boundless heaven continent, Empty said speechlessly. But aren't there many mystic sovereigns and mystic supremacies? Therefore, mystic monarchs are nothing. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Master, I want to beat up that Wu Gong too. Charm jumped into Long Ruox's arms and acted coquettishly. Charm wants to be beaten up too? Who else wants to be beaten up? Lung Ruoxue asked as more beasts gathered around her. Me. The beasts all rushed to speak. Hee, they might not be as strong as Wu Gong, but they had to participate. They had to help their master no matter what if Wu Gong bullied her. I want to participate too, can I? The honest Big Hairy scratched its head shyly. It had been living with these beasts since Old Man Zao went into seclusion. Therefore, it also treated itself as one of them under the influence of the beasts, even though it was not Long Ruox's beast. Chapter 552. A Good Thing Falling from the Sky, 2. I wanted to, the little peacock said. It might be Feng Zhan's subordinate, but Long Ruoxue didn't contract with it, so it didn't know what its current identity should be. Fortunately, its boss master would use it sometimes, so it felt that it was still useful. All of you? But you can't all go out. Otherwise, it will scare others, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas. If others knew that she actually contracted so many beasts, wouldn't they treat her as a monster? Beloved master, let your darling train. Darling's beautiful silver eyes looked at Lung Ruoxue with watery eyes and pleaded. Master, you can't abandon Dazzle. The little black fox jumped into Long Ruox's arms and rubbed against her nonstop while acting coquettishly. Master! Ling didn't say anything and just looked at Long Ruoxue with its bright black eyes without blinking. Its eyes seemed to say, Master, bring me along. You, Lung Ruoxue was helpless. Alas, this was the difficulty of having too many beasts. Both the palms and the backs of the hands were meat. Bringing anyone or not would make things difficult for her. And if a beast was sad because of this, she would not feel good either. She was conflicted. Haha, Schwer. It's really not easy to see your conflicted expression, Empty said with a smile. The long Ruoxue in his eyes had always been confident, but now she revealed such a conflicted expression. This was really too rare. Stop gloating. Hurry, think of a way for me. Long Ruoxue's beautiful eyes glared fiercely at Empty, her beautiful face full of displeasure. That's simple. Ask Ling to cast an invisibility spell on them, as long as they don't show themselves, Empty said with a light smile. Ling, can you do it? Long Ruoxue asked worriedly. She was afraid that Ling's body would not be able to withstand using an invisibility spell on so many beasts. There should be no problem as long as Master's pills replenish its mystic energy, Ling said after some thought. Well, this was also a huge test for it. Ling, just do what you can. Don't show off if you really don't have a choice. Long Ruoxue reminded. Okay. Ling nodded in response. All right, it's settled for the time being. Everyone, go back and rest. Long Ruoxue said. Then she pulled the freak back to the purple bamboo hut. The next day, Long Ruoxue brought the freak out of the bracelet and returned to their room in the inn. Someone knocked on the door. The freak opened the door and saw the old man standing at the door. He frowned and said, Elderly Inn, what's the matter? It's like this. We've already discussed a strategy to meet with Miss Long. Elderly Inn braced himself. This man didn't seem to be too friendly to him. Alas, he was definitely ranked at the top among the elders of the Alchemist Association. Moreover, his words were very weighty, but it was completely ineffective against Long Ruoxue. This couldn't help making him feel helpless. There's no need. It's good that you've thought about it. Moreover, didn't Schwer already get someone to help you? The freak blocked the way directly. He didn't have a good impression of these old men. These old men actually dared to plot against Schwer. They really didn't know how to write the word death. All right then. Elderly Inn had no choice but to turn around and leave with a wry smile. The freak closed the door with a bang when he saw Elderly Inn leave, and then he returned to the inner room. Freak, who is it? Long Ruoxue asked curiously. However, she was more surprised that the freak didn't let that person enter the house. It's Elderly Inn from the Alchemist Association, but he was sent away by me, the freak explained lightly. Oh, what's the matter with him? Long Ruoxue asked. It's okay. He said that they had already discussed a countermeasure and wanted to meet you. I said that there was no need. Let them decide for themselves. Then he left, the freak said innocently. Oh. Long Ruoxue nodded with a light smile, not planning to expose him. Schwer, where are we going later? The freak asked curiously. He didn't know what Schwer would do since he woke up so early today. Freak, let's take a walk around Carefree City, Long Ruoxue suggested after some thought. They had been staying in the inn most of the time since they came to Carefree City for a few days, and they hadn't had a good tour the last time. Okay. The freak didn't care what he was doing as long as he could be with Schwer. After speaking, Long Ruoxue and the freak exited the room and arrived on the streets of Carefree City. At this moment, there were not many pedestrians on the streets of Carefree City because too many things had happened recently. Moreover, many people didn't dare to wander the streets at all. It was said that the vice president of the Mystic Association, Wu Gong, had gone crazy. He would send people to capture and interrogate anyone suspicious on the streets. This made the atmosphere in Carefree City even more tense. The two of them walked on the streets and unknowingly arrived outside Wu Gong's temporary residence. Long Ruoxue and the freak's eyes met as they looked at the slightly shabby yard wall. They looked at each other and smiled. Then they took out a few explosive balls from their rings and buried them in the corner outside the yard wall. Ling, help us turn invisible. Long Ruoxue summoned Ling and ordered while no one was around. Yes, master. Ling answered and cast an invisibility spell for the two of them. Ling, do you know where Qingwu and the others are hiding? Long Ruoxue asked softly. Ling had been following Qingwu and the others for a while and had only been summoned back 2 days ago. Yes, I know, Ling replied and led the way, leading Long Ruoxue and the freak to the empty room where Qingwu was hiding. Miss, why are you here? Qingwu and the others were discussing their next step in the room. They hurriedly stood up and asked in puzzlement when they saw Long Ruoxue and the freak. We came out for a walk, Lung Ruoxue explained. Oh, miss, we're driving Wu Gong crazy. Hee hee. Cheng Wu said proudly. He had never known that teasing others could be so enjoyable. Chapter 553. A Good Thing Falling from the Sky. 3. Be careful. I'm afraid hell be driven into a corner. Lung Ruoxue reminded them worriedly. Miss, don't worry. We already have a plan, Cheng Wu said with a smile, his resolute face full of mystery. Oh, what plan? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. She had not participated in Cheng Wu and the others' plans since she started for them. Hee hee. She was also training Cheng Wu and the others' adaptability. After all, she didn't want her subordinates to not know how to use their brains and only know how to carry out dead orders. Miss, Wu Gong has many mystic sovereigns by his side, so we decided to attack those mystic sovereigns first. We'll cut off Wu Gong's claws and let him search every house by himself. Cheng Wu said with a naughty smile. Haha, others capture the leader first to capture the bandits, but you're doing the opposite. Not bad. Lung Ruoxue nodded with satisfaction and praised. Hee hee, Miss taught me well. Cheng Wu flattered. Stop flattering me. By the way, I forgot to tell you that I placed a small gift from this mansion just now, so you probably have to find another place to hide. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Ah, miss, you're really too evil. Wu Gong finally calmed down. Now he has to find a new place. Cheng Wu said with pity. Alas, why was Wu Gong so unlucky to have provoked his young miss? Yes, of course. Pack up and prepare to leave. Lung Ruoxue said without any sympathy. Okay, let's leave this place immediately. Cheng Wu said fearfully. Boo-hoo. Miss little gifts were not to be trifled with. They would kill. By the way, have you seen Mrs. Sun recently? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. She had long heard of the famous Mrs. Sun, but she had never had the chance to meet her. Alas, what a pity. No. I heard that Madame Sun left Carefree City after the big explosion at the Mystic Association headquarters, Cheng Wu said. That woman is quite heartless. Wu Gong encountered such an unlucky thing, and she actually left alone. Lung Ruoxue sighed. Alas, was this the so-called flying off on their own when disaster struck? If she doesn't leave, do you think she can count on her and Wu Gong to go through thick and thin together? She's a married woman. She's already made a huge cuckold of the Sun family's deputy patriarch. If she continues to advance with Wu Gong, then there's no need for her to be the madam of the Sun family. Cheng Wu said disdainfully. Humph. He had never had a good impression of such a promiscuous woman. However, what surprised him was the attitude of the deputy patriarch of the Sun family. He didn't believe that the man knew nothing about this, so he really couldn't understand the man's thoughts. Yes, that makes sense. However, men's thoughts are really strange. Lung Ruoxue looked at the freak, then at Cheng Wu and the others, and sighed with emotion. Schwer, why are you looking at me? I'm not such a useless man, the freak protested. Humph. He would never let that man go if any man dared to touch his Schwer. Miss, I'm not either. Cheng Wu said fearfully. Boo-hoo. Miss Gaze was really too. Haha, quickly leave this place. It will explode later. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help laughing happily seeing the depressed expressions of the freak and the others. Okay, everyone nodded. Freak, let's go back to the inn. Lung Ruoxue turned to the freak. Okay, the freak nodded. Cheng Wu, tell me in advance if there's anything you need my help with, Lung Ruoxue said and left with the freak. Not long after Lung Ruoxue and the freak left, the mansion exploded. Wu Gong and his subordinates, who were not mentally prepared, suffered varying degrees of injuries. Fortunately, no casualties occurred. Wu Gong almost fainted from anger as he looked at the ruins in front of him. He gritted his teeth, looked at his subordinates, and ordered furiously, seal the city gate immediately and continue the carpet search. Don't even let out a fly. Yes, the subordinates said as they endured the pain. However, they had varying degrees of resentment for Wu Gong in their hearts. Humph. Would they have been treated like this if Wu Gong hadn't offended someone? Moreover, Wu Gong, as a mystic supremacy, couldn't do anything to a mere elementary mystic. This didn't prevent them from doubting Wu Gong's ability. Then why aren't you going? What are you waiting for? Wu Gong roared. President, what will happen to you if we go? A subordinate asked bravely. Now that they were all injured and didn't have a place to stay, he felt that they should find a place to stay first and search for Long Ruoxue and the others. Don't worry about me. Hurry up and find someone for me, Wu Gong roared.
Yes.
The subordinates had no choice but to bite the bullet and search. In the corner, Cheng Wu and the others were hiding in the dark, watching Wu Gong and the others. Big Brother Cheng, do you think Wu Gong's subordinates will listen to him? Hazy asked curiously. Of course not. Didn't you notice? They don't trust Wu Gong anymore. Hee, if I'm not mistaken, they will definitely obey but disobey in secret. Cheng Wu said understandingly. This Wu Gong really failed as a person. Alas, if he was half as good as his young miss, he probably wouldn't have been deserted. Obviously, Wu Gong was not far away. Big Brother Cheng, should we watch Wu Gong or his subordinates? Song Di couldn't help asking. Go deal with his subordinates. They'll watch over Wu Gong. Cheng Wu said after some thought. Okay, be careful. Song Di nodded. Then he led his men and quietly followed Wu Gong's group. Long Ruoxue and the freak went directly to the living room after returning to the carefree pavilion. Lan Ming, Zheng Yin, and the little old man were sitting in the living room chatting. After seeing Long Ruoxue and the freak, the little old man asked curiously, Lass, where did you go? Chapter 554. A Good Thing That Fell from the Sky. 4. Miss, I saw Lan Ninger leave Carefree City when I went out just now. Zheng Yin said. Oh, so be it. Long Ruoxue said nonchalantly. She wanted to kill Lan Ninger, but she couldn't say this in front of Lan Ming. After all, Lan Ninger was a member of the Lan family no matter how bad she was. Little Snowy, I think Lan Ninger won't dare to return to the Lan family anymore. Lan Ming guessed. That might not be the case. Don't underestimate Lan Ninger's thick skin. Long Ruoxue said in realization. But with what she did, she won't have a good life even if she returns to the Lan family, Lan Ming said understandingly. Super families like the Lan family were very prideful, so Lan Ninger would not have any status in the Lan family anymore. Little Lan, I don't care how your Lan family will treat her. I just hope she doesn't provoke me. Otherwise, I won't let her go again. Long Ruoxue warned. She could let Lan Ninger go this time on account of the Lan family. However, if Lan Ninger didn't repent, then don't blame her for being rude. Little Snowy, if you want to get rid of her, you better do it secretly. Otherwise, some old fellows from the Lan family will definitely not ignore it, Lan Ming reminded. Yes, I will. Long Ruoxue nodded very seriously. Little Snowy, what's the next step? Lan Ming asked very curiously. I don't know. I don't have any plans. Long Ruoxue shrugged innocently. Little Snowy, don't be like this. Tell me. Lan Ming pleaded with a bitter face. Really not. I've handed everything to Cheng Wu and the others to handle now. I'm just leaving everything to them, Long Ruoxue said with a smile, her beautiful face full of pride. Little Snowy, why didn't you let me participate then? Lan Ming asked in puzzlement. Boo-hoo. Little Snowy's plans were all hidden from him. It felt very uncomfortable not letting him know. Your strength is too low and your IQ is low, so you can only be an audience. Long Ruoxue looked at Lan Ming carefully for a while, and then said very cautiously, I admit that I'm weak, but how is my IQ low? Boo-hoo. Lan Ming's handsome face was full of grievance. Little Snowy said that he was weak, but did it mean that he was stupid? He was so depressed. Weak in every way. Long Ruoxue glared at Lan Ming and said without giving him any face. Lan Ming was conflicted, so depressed that he wanted to scratch the wall. Little Snowy was really too evil. Zheng Yin and the little old man couldn't help covering their mouths and laughing secretly when they heard Long Ruoxue's words. You're still laughing? How inhumane. Lan Ming looked at the two secretly happy people and complained. Little Lan President, Our Miss is the head of the family. You just have to listen to whatever Miss says. Don't refute her. Otherwise, you will be the unlucky one. Zhang Yin reminded very kindly. Boo-hoo. I know you all belong to the same country and only know how to bully me. Lan Ming felt wronged, very wronged. All right, stop pretending. Little Lan, prepare to take over the Mystic Association headquarters. Lung Ruox's words were like a bomb, blasting Lan Ming's mind into a blank. After speaking, Lung Ruoxue dragged the freak out of the living room very irresponsibly. After a long while, Lan Ming's consciousness slowly recovered. He looked at Zhang Yin and the little old man in the living room and couldn't help asking, "What did little Snowy say just now?" Miss said to prepare you to take over the Mystic Association headquarters. Zhang Yin said. He approved of Miss' words very much now. Lan Ming's intelligence was indeed a little weak. Moreover, his tolerance was very low. Why? I'm just a mystic monarch. I can't, Lan Ming said reluctantly with a bitter face. If Miss says you can, then you can. Don't refute. Otherwise, Miss will be angry. And once Miss is angry, you will be in trouble. Zhang Yin threatened. Lan Ming was depressed again. He was even more depressed than when Lung Ruoxue said that he was mentally weak. Boo-hoo. He could reluctantly accept being the president of the branch. However, he was not mentally prepared now if he were to manage the headquarters. Moreover, he did not think that the elders in the headquarters would submit to him. After all, where was his strength? Bratlan, I think this girl's idea is good. Your master is the president of the Mystic Association headquarters. As his disciple, it's only logical for you to take over the headquarters. The little old man explained. I know. Lan Ming nodded helplessly. Then why are you complaining like a little wife? Hurry up and go back to your room to wash up and prepare to take over the Mystic Association headquarters. You have to know that this is a good thing that fell from the sky. No one can ask for it. Zhang Yin said with envy. Boo-hoo. The pie is too big. I can't eat it now. Zhang Yin, if you're envious, why don't I give you this opportunity? Lan Ming hurriedly said. The current him wanted to throw this hot potato out even more. How can that do? Your master is the president of the Mystic Association headquarters. What will happen if I take over the headquarters? Zhang Yin refused. He didn't want that big package. It's okay. He'll explain to master after he comes out of seclusion, Lan Ming advised stubbornly. That won't do either. I want take over. Mystics is only my second profession. I mainly work as an alchemist. If I take over the Mystic Association headquarters, I will be neglecting my main profession, Zhang Yin said evasively. What if your master agrees? Lan Ming looked at the little old man expectantly. My master won't agree, Zhang Yin said very confidently. His master wanted him to take over the Alchemist Association, but he refused, let alone the Mystic Association. Yes, I won't agree. Otherwise, the Alchemist Association headquarters would have been his long ago. The little old man said very cooperatively with his disciple. If Lan Ming wanted to continue persuading but was interrupted by Zhang Yin. President Little Lan, don't have any ideas about me. I want to wander around with Mississippi. It's impossible for me to stay in the same place. Zhang Yin said bluntly. Chapter 555. A Good Thing That Fell from the Sky. 5. You're still leaving? Lan Ming asked with some displeasure in his heart. Boo-hoo. Was he going to be abandoned again? These baddies. Of course. Miss said that we will go for training after the incident in Carefree City. Zheng Yin said. Miss and the others wanted to improve their strength as soon as possible, and training was the best way to improve their strength. What about Myriad Mountain City? Lan Ming couldn't help asking. Aren't there Chengwu and the others? Myriad Mountain City will depend on them in the future, Zhang Yin explained. His feelings for Miss had already risen to a new height since Chengwu and the others told him about Myriad Mountain City. Zhang Yin, do you really intend to go for training after settling the matter here? Lan Ming confirmed with a long face. Of course. President Little Lan, do you think I'm joking with you? Zhang Yin asked helplessly. Alas, Lan Ming didn't have to put on such a dead look when he heard that they were leaving. People who didn't know the truth would think that they had abandoned Lan Ming. No, I'm just not mentally prepared, Lan Ming said uncomfortably. A feeling of being abandoned slowly emerged in his heart. President Little Lan, Miss said that there is no such thing as a banquet that will never end, so don't be too sad. Be good. Zheng Yin coaxed patiently. Alas, I'm going back to my room first. Lan Ming sighed, then stood up and said lightly. He needed to be alone for a good time. Master, could he be suicidal? Zheng Yin couldn't help asking as he looked at Lan Ming's slightly lost back. Hard to say. The little old man gloated. Master, why do you seem so happy? Zheng Yin's forehead was full of black lines. Hee, because I'm experienced and understand his feelings, so I'm very happy whenever I see someone struggling like I did back then, the little old man explained. Master, what's with your heart? Zheng Yin was speechless. Alas, he had always thought his master was a serious person. He only knew today that he was wrong. To gloat. Haha, the little old man said with a smile. Then he stood up and left the living room. Zheng Yin saw that he was alone in the huge living room, so he dusted his butt and left. The next day, in the living room, Lung Ruoxue sat in a chair and looked at the elders of the Alchemist Association, whose faces were full of smiles and excitement, and said lightly, Has everyone's matter been settled? Hee. Thanks to Miss Lung's subordinate's help, the matter has been settled, Elder Lien said on behalf of the elders. He really didn't expect Long Ruoxue's subordinates to be so efficient. This really surprised him. In that case, can you pay me? Lung Ruoxue reminded. This was what she was most concerned about. Of course, Miss Long. This is 2/3 of the wealth accumulated by our Alchemist Association for thousands of years. Please take it. Elder Lien handed Long Ruoxue a storage ring and said with a pained expression, Zhang An, check carefully. This will be our living expenses in the future. Lung Ruoxue took the ring and handed it to Zheng Yin. Okay, Mississippi. Zheng Yin took the ring with a smile on his face. Hee. It felt so good to see the pained expressions on the elders' faces. Check carefully. By the way, did you include the money for your rooms and meals these few days? Lung Ruoxue turned her beautiful eyes to the elders and asked after instructing. This is our money for the next few days. The corner of Elder Lien's mouth twitched. Then he took out a storage ring and said speechlessly, Boo-hoo. Why was she still thinking about this bit of money? Elder Lien, you're very dishonest. Lung Ruoxue took the ring and threw it directly to Zheng Yin before saying with slight dissatisfaction, I'm old, and my memory isn't good. Elder Lien wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and explained helplessly, Boo-hoo. Why didn't this girl know how to respect her elders? In fact, how could he have forgotten? They felt that it was too embarrassing to be led by the nose by Lung Ruoxue, so they didn't intend to give it as long as Lung Ruoxue didn't mention it. Their idea was that they would have a sense of accomplishment even if they could take a little advantage of Lung Ruoxue. However, they didn't expect their little thoughts to make them even more embarrassed. Oh, Elder Lien, do you need me to refine some pills that can enhance your memory? Lung Ruoxue said with a spurious smile. In fact, she had been laughing in her heart. Haha, these old men were not qualified to fight with her. No need, no need. I can refine it myself, Elder Lien said hurriedly. Boo-hoo. He didn't dare to eat Long Ruoxue's food anymore. It was really too expensive. He was afraid of going bankrupt. Alas, forget it since Elder Lien won't give me face. However, Elder Lien, when do you intend to give me an explanation about Zheng Yin? Lung Ruoxue changed the topic and brought it to Zheng Yin. Miss Long, you know the current situation of the Alchemist Association. We don't have a place to work yet. Can we give you this explanation after we rebuild the headquarters? Elder Lien discussed. No, you have to give me a satisfactory explanation before I leave Carefree City. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. Lung Ruoxue warned. These old men's evasion made her very displeased because in her opinion, this was only clarifying Zheng Yin's innocence to the entire Boundless Heaven continent and informing the various Alchemist Association. There was no difficulty at all. The efficiency of these people's work was really too poor. All right then. The company commander's little heart trembled as he answered. Boo-hoo. He had decided to stay away from this demon from now on. Chapter 556. A Good Thing That Fell from the Sky. 6. Wait. Lung Ruashue suddenly called out to them before the elders of the Alchemist Association were about to leave the living room. Miss Long, is there anything else? Elder Lien asked in puzzlement. Zhengyan, their remuneration isn't bad, right? Lung Ruashue turned to Zhengyan. Yes. Zhengyan suppressed his smile and replied. Hee. Miss was really too evil. However, he knew that the reason Miss did this was to vent for him. Oh, that's good. Elder Lien, you can leave now. Lung Ruashue seemed to be relieved when she heard Zhengyan's words. Then she said to Elder Lien and the others whose faces were a little blue, well, take our leave. Elder Lien suppressed his anger and left the living room with the elders. Haha, lass. Aren't you afraid that they will bear a grudge if you do this? The little old man couldn't help asking with a smile after Elder Lien and the others left. Don't be afraid. If they dare to play any more tricks, they'll directly deal with them, Lung Ruashue said without any emotion. Schwer, don't worry. Those elders don't have the guts to plot against you anymore, Empty said with a light smile. Yes. Lung Ruashue nodded in agreement. Miss. Lung Ruashue and the others were chatting when Blackie ran in anxiously. What's the matter? What happened? Lung Ruashue couldn't help asking when she saw Blackie's nervous expression. Miss, Big Brother Cheng and Wu Gong are fighting, and he's injured. Hazy shouted worriedly. Why did they start fighting? Isn't he invisible? Lung Ruashue stood up and asked in puzzlement. I don't know how Wu Gong found him. We saw the two of them fighting when we returned after cleaning up Wu Gong's subordinates. Big Brother Song and the others have already gone to help and asked me to inform Miss, Hazy said while panting heavily. Let's go take a look. Lung Ruashue looked at everyone in the hall. Okay. Everyone nodded and then left the living room with Lung Ruashue. After Lung Ruashue and the others arrived at the location of the fight, they saw several mystic sovereigns surrounding Wu Gong, who was cursing loudly. You cowardly turtles, do you dare to fight me one-on-one? Wu Gong roared. He was really angry. He had finally discovered the whereabouts of the people who were secretly causing trouble, but he didn't expect there to be so many people. Moreover, they were all mystic sovereigns. He might be a mystic supremacy, but he couldn't withstand the group attacks of so many mystic sovereigns. Why should we fight you one-on-one? You, a mighty mystic supremacy, actually want a mystic sovereign to fight you one-on-one. Aren't you embarrassed? If I were you, I would have bought a piece of tofu and committed suicide a long time ago. It would be embarrassing to live anyway. Song Di shouted rudely. The other mystic sovereigns let out low mocking laughter as soon as Song Di finished speaking. Everyone looked at Wu Gong with contempt. Are you all so capable of surrounding me? Wu Gong was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. He kept complaining in his heart. Where did those damn subordinates go? Why didn't they scram back quickly? At this moment, he didn't know that his subordinates had already seen the gods. We're weak, so what can we do? Song Di said nonchalantly. He agreed with Miss very much now. As long as they could win, the process was not important. Wu Gong was so angry that he couldn't speak. Suddenly, he glanced at Lung Ruashue and the others, who were walking over. He couldn't help but say angrily, Du Min, it's really related to you. Yes, it has to do with me. Can't I? The little old man asked with a chuckle, his face full of schadenfreude. How dare you repay kindness with ingratitude by staying in the territory of our carefree city? I've decided. I'll expel you on behalf of the Mystic Association. Wu Gong glared fiercely at the little old man and roared. Are you sure you have the right? The little old man asked mockingly. Of course. I'm the vice president of the Mystic Association. I call the shots in the Mystic Association, Wu Gong said confidently. You also know that you're the deputy? Then do you still remember that you have a president above you? The little old man reminded coldly. The president has been in seclusion for many years. Who knows if something happened? I'm the eldest in the Mystic Association now. Wu Gong emphasized. Nonsense. You're the one who had an accident. Lan Ming couldn't help cursing when he heard Wu Gong curse his master. Who are you? Ugly freak? Wu Gong glared and questioned. Damn it. How dare you scold me? I won't let this ugly man go. Lan Ming. Lan Ming gave his name directly. Then his lips curled into an intriguing smile as he looked at Wu Gong. Lan Ming? Impossible. How can Lan Ming be as ugly as you? Wu Gong said in disbelief. Humph. It wasn't like he hadn't seen Lan Ming before. How dare he lie to him? Believe it or not, Lan Ming said nonchalantly. Then he turned his head and ignored Wu Gong. Wu Gong, how did you find them? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously after taking a pill for the injured Cheng Wu. Haha, do you want to know? I won't tell you. Wu Gong laughed hysterically and said proudly. I know even if you don't say it. It's because of these powder. Lung Ruoxue said in realization. She had just found these unknown powder on Cheng Wu's body and guessed that it was most likely because these things were making monsters. How did you know? Wu Gong asked in surprise, his face full of disbelief. He thought no one would recognize the powder, but it was discovered by this woman so quickly. I'm not telling you either, Lung Ruoxue said angrily. You? Wu Gong was so angry that his face and neck were red. He kept cursing in his heart. How can there be such a despicable woman? What about me? Wu Gong, today is your death date. Enjoy the last moment of your life. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Chapter 557. Boss Owner. Wanna knock? 1. Don't be too smug too early. It's not certain who will die. Wu Gong retaliated. Is that so? Then be smug to your heart's content. Oh, right. Do you have any last words to tell your old flame? It's best to say it now lest you don't have the chance to say it later. Lung Ruoxue said very understandingly. Can you tell me who you are? Why do you want to go against me? Wu Gong suppressed his anger and asked. It was really uncomfortable not knowing who his enemy was. Can't you guess? Seems like I overestimated your intelligence. Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue said very honestly. Alas, were these people from the Mystic Association headquarters all very weak in intelligence? You are Lung Ruoxue? No, that's impossible. Everyone knows Lung Ruoxue is an ugly freak. Do you think I've never seen her? Tell me, who are you? Wu Gong didn't believe the words of this drop-dead gorgeous woman in front of him. His first reaction was that this woman was lying to him. Believe it or not, I don't care. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly, and then summoned her beast. Charm, Fengzhan, they'll leave this old thing to you. Lung Ruoxue said to her cute beasts with a light smile. Hee master, don't worry. Well, definitely let him have an unforgettable memory, Fengzhan promised with a naughty smile. Okay, Songdi, you can leave. Lung Ruoxue nodded with satisfaction, and then said to Songdi and the others. Yes. Songdi and the others obediently gave up their seats and left the venue to the cute, but actually scheming and ruthless little beasts. They knew that they couldn't just look at the appearance of beasts since they knew their Mississippi, haha. Do you think these little beasts can deal with me? I'm a mystic supremacy. Wu Gong couldn't help laughing when he saw the dozens of small and cute beasts surrounding him. He could kick these little things away with a kick. How could they be his match? Hey, didn't anyone teach you not to underestimate your enemy? Charm reminded very elegantly, killing intent flashing in its purple eyes. Underestimate your enemy? I can kick your little things away with a single kick. How can you be worthy of being my enemies? Wu Gong said with contempt. You want to kick us away with a single kick? How big must your foot be? Wu Gong, if you can't kick us away, every beast of ours will trample you into meat paste. Charm said without anger, a faint smile hanging on its fluffy little face. Charm, cut the crap with him. Let's attack. Fengzhan said impatiently. What's the rush? Didn't I already attack? We can save trouble if we can destroy him with words. Charm said with a light smile. Hee, it was an intelligent beast. Fighting was too barbaric. It had to use more brains in the future. That makes sense. Let's anger him to death. Feng Zhan nodded in agreement. Infuriating. Wu Gong was dizzy from them in a moment. His body was covered in wounds in just a short while. Wu Gong, take this. Darling was tired from scratching. It condensed the water attribute mystic energy in its body into a water ball, gathered it in its claws, and threw it at Wu Gong. With a splash, Wu Gong, who was unprepared, was drenched by the huge water ball. Moreover, the water attribute liquid quickly seeped into his wounds, making him want to bang his head against the wall. Wu Gong, let me help you dry your clothes. Feng Zhan said very kindly when he saw Wu Gong drenched in soup. He spat out a stream of southern spirit flame. Wu Gong's clothes were dried in the blink of an eye, but the flames on his body continued to burn. It's on fire. It'll help you. Darling said quickly and threw water balls at Wu Gong one after another. However, its water ball failed to extinguish Feng Zhan's southern spirit flame. Instead, it made Wu Gong into a drenched chicken. Then the flames on Wu Gong's body dried Darling's water ball. They repeated this process over and over again. Before long, Wu Gong fainted. Obviously, he fainted from anger. Lass, these beasts of yours are really good. The little old man, who had been watching the commotion by the side, wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Alas, these beasts were really too terrifying. Even the mystic supremacy fainted from their anger. Amazing. It's okay. Lung Ruoxue said with a smug smile. She knew very well what her beasts were capable of, so she was not surprised that they would make Wu Gong faint from anger. In fact, she felt that Wu Gong's endurance was too poor. What a useless mystic supremacy. Master, this is Wu Gong's storage ring. He's very poor and doesn't have much money. Charm jumped into Long Ruoxue's arms and said with disdain. Oh. Lung Ruoxue took the ring and threw it to Jingyin without looking at it. Master, this Wu Gong fainted. What should we do? Charm raised its little head and asked. This Wu Gong can't live anyway. Do as you see fit. Lung Ruoxue said with a malicious smile. Boss Master, why don't we use him to fish? I know of a type of fish that likes powerhouses the most. Moreover, that kind of fish is also very delicious, the little peacock suggested. Are you talking about the golden sandfish? Icy, which had been sleeping, opened its eyes and asked. Yes, that kind of fish is very difficult to capture. However, it will be very easy to capture with this Wu Gong as bait, the little peacock explained. What are we waiting for? Let's go fishing quickly. Icy said impatiently. Golden sandfish were legendary delicacies. However, golden sandfish lived in the deep sea, and it was extremely difficult to capture them. And as Little Peacock said, it would be very easy to capture them if there was good bait. If it remembered correctly, golden sandfish seemed to like it the most. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.